How's going, guys? Welcome to the channel. I'm back with another banger for you all. Huge shout out to U.A Academy for this story. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Konoha Training Ground #7. Naruto was really mad. He had been tied to the training post, and even though he and his team had just passed, both his teammates and his sensei didn't even try to untie him. "Some team," said Naruto as the sun had just set behind him. "At least I got some food." "Grumble." "Or hardly any," said Naruto as he hung his head in defeat after his stomach made its opinion heard. "Why couldn't I just have a team, or even a sensei that actually cares about me?" Naruto thought as he held his anger and sadness back at being betrayed right at the start. That was when a bright light shone from the nearby woods and Naruto looked to see a brilliant glowing orb float towards him. "What the?" Naruto asked as the orb began to float around him playfully. The fun ended when the orb went inside Naruto before the blonde was enveloped in a light that was as bright as the orb was. The light vanished to reveal an unconscious Naruto on the ground, and the post he was tied to and the rope used on him were gone. Nearby, an ANBU member that was sent by the third Hokage had just arrived when the light appeared. She carefully approached Naruto and picked him up. "I'd better take you to the Hokage," said the ANBU as she held him motherly in her arms. "Naruto-kun." Mindscape. Naruto slowly awoke to find himself somewhere dark and damp with water that was just a few inches deep. "Great," said Naruto as he got to his feet. "Guess someone decided to throw me in a sewer." Naruto looked around to see that the room he was in was really huge and some sort of cage. The blonde then felt a dangerous aura from the cage and took a few steps closer before a deep, dark voice spoke up. "So my jailer decides to pay me a visit," said the voice from inside the cage to reveal a giant red fox with 9 tails and a wicked grin on its face. "KKQB," said Naruto as he took a few steps back from the cage. "How did you get out?" The QB growled and said, "As much as I wish that was true, I am unfortunately still sealed inside of you. We all are inside of your mind." Naruto blinked a few times before he sensed something was behind him, and he tuned to see 10 different figures. A dragon with a blonde mane and wings made of fire wearing red armor, a bipedal wolf wielding 2 large golden swords and wearing white armor that had blue stripes, a huge bug-like creature in an odd combination with a blue rhinoceros beetle and a stag beetle. A woman with long rainbow-colored hair wielding a rapier wearing what looked like a pale white swimsuit and long clawed boots. And giant light green armor, a giant ram with snow-white fur that hid multiple legs underneath, an odd creature with a mirror for a body wearing a green robe and pointed hat, a combination of an Oni demon and a meteor, a giant horse made of wood and metal, a mermaid with long silver hair and blue and green scales holding a golden trident, and a large cat-like creature with a human face and golden wings wearing black armor. "Whoa," said Naruto in awe as he fell on his rear. "Who or what are you?" "We are the legendary ancient warriors," said the dragon with a booming voice, "great and powerful warriors with the powers of the 10 elements. I am Ancient Greymon, dragon of fire." "I am Ancient Garuraman," said the bipedal wolf, wolf of light and supreme shining beast. "Many have fallen by my blades." "I am Ancient Beetlemon," said the bug-like creature, "and I am the beetle of thunder as the force of my wings alone can create the very thunder in the sky." "I'm Ancient Kazumon," said the rainbow-haired woman, mystical fairy of the wind. "I can tell that we will get along just fine." "I am Ancient Megatheriumon," said the giant ram, "and I am the ram of ice from the cold mountains." "I am Ancient Wisetman, young one," said the mirror creature in a wise tone, "and I am the sage of steel as even all things metal possesses their own mystical properties." "Name's Ancient Vulcaman," said the giant ogre, "and some have called me the ogre of earth. I can't wait to rock with you, kid." "I am Ancient Troyman," said the giant wooden horse, the great wooden horse, "and I really like your village, especially the trees." "I'm Ancient Mermaidman, Sugar," said the mermaid with a southern drawl in her voice, the beautiful mermaid of the sea. "I have to say, for a human you're kind of cute with those whisker marks of yours." Naruto blushed as he never did have a girl, let alone anyone, give him a good comment on his looks. "Thanks, I guess," said the blonde before he faced the cat-like creature. "What about you?" The armored cat looked at Naruto and stoically said, "I am Ancient Sphinxman, guardian of the shadows. I sense some darkness within your heart, but the brilliance of your spirit has shown me that you have what it takes to use that darkness not as a weapon or means, but as an extension of your own power. But even so, you must prove to me that you are ready to wield the power of darkness without letting such power corrupt you. Naruto respectfully bowed towards Ancient Sphinxman as he felt that he should show some respect to it as well as the others before him. No need to be nervous, said Ancient Kazumi in a playful voice of a young girl, especially around us. Ancient Mermaid delicately wrapped an arm around Naruto's shoulders and said, "Of course, sugar. We're here to help you as Kami had seen your plight, and I just have to say that the people here are just awful for treating you like that over the years." Ancient Wiseman then pointed to the cage and said, "We have even altered the seal that allows you to hold the fox inside to where only you or your death will allow the QB its freedom." Naruto looked and saw not only a paper seal on the cage's doors, but a collar with tags that had kanji for fire, earth, thunder, wind, water, ice, steel, wood, light, and darkness around the QB's neck. "We will also lend you our power," said Ancient Greyman as Naruto turned to face the legendary warriors, "but we shall set some limitations to how much power you use in order to prevent any mishaps." Naruto didn't like the sound of being limited. He did understand that everything has limits, and he personally would hate to see the more disastrous mishaps. Even though he might push those limits, Naruto wasn't suicidal with his training. "The first limit we're going to place is that you can only use one of our powers," said Ancient Garurumon, "but even should you use your shadow clones, you are only allowed to use one of our powers. 10 different powers and I can only use one at a time," Naruto thought with a small scowl on his face. "Do not worry," said Ancient Wiseman. "Once you have a better understanding and better control of our power, we will teach you how to access more power. For now, just focus on training with one at a time." "The second limit," said Ancient Megatheriumon with an elderly voice, "you can only use that power for so long before you have to rest, so use this gift wisely as this will affect all forms of our power." Naruto pondered what the ram had said and asked, "Once I reach that time limit, how long would I have to wait?" Ancient Megatheriumon chuckled and said, "That is a good question. Once you reach that limit, that actually depends on how well your chakra control is, as our power will drain your chakra at a rapid rate, and seeing how terrible your control is, you can use our power for a short time before you have to rest before calling forth our power again. That is only due to abysmal control, but once you gain a proper amount of control, you can use our even longer with shorter rests." Naruto cringed at the time limit, and knew that he desperately needed help in that area. "The third and final limitation," said Ancient Sphinxman as he moved his tail around, "our power is only an extension of your own as you become stronger, faster, and sharper. In order for that extension to become stronger, you must also better your own abilities and improve yourself. Our powers are but mere swords that are only as strong and powerful as its wielder." Now that makes perfect sense, Naruto thought as he was already ready to better himself at a moment's notice. "What good is a new power if you can't use it right? Now is the time we grant you our power," said Ancient Greyman as the other legendary warriors stood next to him. "We shall only grant you the power of 2 elements at the moment, and from what we have found, you will like this." Ancient Kazumi and Ancient Mermaid stood before Naruto with 2 small statues in their hands. Ancient Kazumi's 2 statues were a small fairy praying and a harpy on her knees with her wings spread out, while Ancient Mermaid's 2 statues were a small blue fish and a squid. "We present to you our spirit forms," said Ancient Kazumi as she and Ancient Mermaid handed the statues to Naruto. "You get the power of wind as it is your natural affinity along with the power of water as you do share a bit of a water affinity from your family." Naruto looked at the 4 statues and asked, "Why are there 4 spirits for 2 elements?" Ancient Troyman looked at the boy and said, "That is because there are 2 forms for each element, a human spirit form and a beast spirit form. Even though the 2 on them are of the same element, their power is quite different, with the beast spirit form being more difficult to control as they possess almost half of the power any of the bijus would possess. The only drawback is that the beast spirits have a tendency to be more on a primal level, causing those who have first used them to go wild at the start." The QB growled a bit before it said, "As much as I wish to assert my own power, they are right, Kit. Just by looking at the 2 beast forms of wind and water, I can see their great power, and any fool who were not ready for such primal power would easily be controlled, becoming the beast itself." 2 of the statues, the fairy and the fish-looking ones, then changed into their true forms. The fairy statue was now a young girl with long violet hair and clear butterfly wings, wearing a combination of underwear and belts along with long boots and a metal visor that covered her eyes. The fish-like statue became a small girl with seafoam green skin, wearing a blue one-piece swimsuit and a hat with fins sticking out on the sides. "They're really pretty," said Naruto as the two girls blushed. "These two are the human spirit forms for our elements," said Ancient Mermaid as she gently nudged the two girls towards Naruto. "The fairy is Hazbin, the human spirit of wind, and this little cutie is Ranamon, the human spirit of water. You will be taking their forms when you use their powers." "What?" said Naruto with shock on his face. "Are you saying that I'm going to change into girls when I use their powers?" Ancient Sphinxman walked next to Hazbin and Ranamon and said, "Of course, but there are no lasting affects. You will still remain as your original sex, but only your mind will remain unchanged, as your physical body will change to accommodate all of the spirit forms when you use our power." Ancient Hazbin appeared next to Naruto and said, "Besides, it shouldn't be any different than your sexy jutsu and your harem jutsu." Naruto sighed in defeat as he had a gut feeling that there was no way of convincing the two of allowing him to place a henge over them. Some of the other spirits were chuckling at Naruto's small little plight before Ancient Greymon spoke up. "We have kept you here long enough," it said, lowering its head to Naruto's level. "You are needed to explain to your Hokage about your power." Naruto vanished as the others began to talk amongst themselves. "I believe we made the right choice with agreeing with Kami-sama to aid the young boy," said Ancient Twizetman, with the others either nodding or smiling in agreement. "Of course," said Ancient Sphinxman with stoic concern. "That boy has so much potential that one must have an even worse god complex than even that dreadful fiend." The other spirits nodded, as a few of them were slightly angered at how the young boy's life was. Even a Devimon wouldn't do such things to a child. Ancient Mermaid said with a protective and motherly tone. "Indeed." Ancient Greymon said with a nod, "We must be there for Naruto and aid him with his path. It will not be an easy ordeal, but we must be the family that Naruto deeply desires." Hokage's office. Naruto's eyes slowly opened to see that he on a table in the Hokage's office with the Sandaime, and a man with long dusty blonde hair next to the table. "Thank goodness you're all right, Naruto," said the Sandaime with relief on his face. "When Anbu had brought you here, I almost feared one of my many nightmares had come true." Naruto slowly got up and got off the table and stretched before he saw the other man. "You're Ino's father?" asked Naruto as the man nodded. "And Noichi, right?" "Yes," said the man, "and I would like to apologize for Ino's behavior towards you. She was always a part of the in crowd. We can talk about trying to mend some bridges later, as we wish to talk to you about your new condition." Naruto looked over the two with careful examination, trying to find the trust in them. The Sandaime did lose some respect from Naruto for not telling him about the Kyuubi, and Inoichi was honestly just another face to the blonde. Naruto soon relented and said, "I'm going to tell the two of you about my new power and guests, but only for the safety of the village." Naruto explained about the legendary warriors, the powers that they will grant him and the limitations on them, and even the dangers of the beast spirits. The Sandaime was amazed at the possibilities that Naruto had, and he was also concerned about the beast spirits controlling his figurative grandson. "Could you demonstrate to us one of your new powers?" asked Inoichi with curiosity. "Crap!" Naruto thought as he just remembered something. "They never told me how to summon their power." The blonde soon heard Ancient Kazumi speak to him through his mind as she said, "Just think of our power and treat it like a jutsu. You can call it spirit fusion if you like." Naruto nodded and formed a hand seal and said, "Spirit fusion, wind." The Sandaime and Inoichi shielded their eyes from the blinding light, and when the light had died down, a girl was standing in Naruto's place. "And then Naruto?" asked the Sandaime with shock at the sight before him. The girl chuckled nervously and said, "Yeah, Gigi, it's me, even though my body, and my voice as well, changed due to the spirit's power. I'm still me, and there's no long-lasting effects from using the power. Once I leave this form or let time limit run out, I'll be back to my regular old self. This form goes by the name of Kazumi." The Sandaime let out a sigh of relief before a thought came to him. "Naruto, can you use jutsus in your spirit forms?" asked the Sandaime. "I would hate for something to happen to you in your current form." Kazumi looked herself and said, "I haven't thought about it, but I'm not sure at how well it could be done since the spirit forms burn up a lot of chakra really fast. I'm going to wait until I get used to using these powers before I try anything else. The two men nodded, as it was a smart idea for Naruto to learn more about his powers. Who knows how jutsus could be affected by Naruto's new power? I can't help but have a gut feeling that the council will learn of this, said the Sandaime as he held the brim of his hat, and I think that I may have a good cover story for it. Inoichi and Kazuma looked at the elderly man as he said, "We can say that this power was given to him by ancient deities from Naruto's father's side of the family, and that only a few selected chosen of that family can wield such a power. It's not a bloodline. But it should hopefully work, and we can even add how the deities have strengthened the seal holding the Kyuubi to prevent any form of mind manipulation from controlling you and the fox." Kazuma nodded, as it did sound like a believable cover-up, and it was the truth hidden in plain sight. "So," asked Kazuma with a serious tone in her voice, "who are my parents, Hokage-sama?" The Sandaime sighed, as he knew he had to win back some trust as he said, "As much as I would love to tell you, I cannot say just yet, as such information could be dangerous to have out in the open like that, as both of your parents have had many enemies who would love to have an opportunity to get their revenge by killing their child and legacy." It wasn't what he wanted to hear, but Naruto did understand about how dangerous a name can be in the shinobi world. "But," said the Sandaime as he looked at Kazuma, "your parents have always loved you, and they even wish the best for you. I can imagine them rolling in their graves right now at how the village has treated you. I'm sorry that I couldn't have told you." "It's alright," said Kazuma with a sad smile, "I understand why you had to do it. I think we should call it a night, and I would like to try and get a good understanding of this power." The two nodded as Kazuma soon opened a window and spread her butterfly wings. "See ya later," said Kazuma as she leapt out the window and flew through the night sky. "That Naruto has a great destiny before him," said Inoichi as the two watched as Kazuma flew towards Naruto's apartment. "Indeed," said the Sandaime, "Naruto has the greatest potential than I have seen in all of my years." Sakura's house. Sakura was in her room as she was preparing to go to bed and hopefully to have wonderful dreams of her precious Sasuke-kun. "I can't believe that I'm finally on a team with Sasuke-kun." Sakura cheered as she skipped around in her pink nightgown, "Although I wish that cheating Baka wasn't on the same team. He's just dead weight." The Rosette looked out her window briefly to see a young girl with violet hair and crystal butterfly wings flying through the sky. "What the?" said Sakura as she looked out her window to watch the butterfly girl perform a small loop-de-loop in the night sky. "A fairy?" The fairy soon disappeared into the darkness of the night as Sakura couldn't believe her eyes. She has heard of summoning jutsus, and she remembers reading about the Kyuubi attack 12 years ago, but to see a creature of myth and legend just fly by her home, unbelievable. Was that really a fairy? Sakura thought to herself as she continued to look through the window. A mischievous, magical creature of the forest? Sakura soon laid down in bed in wonder of what awaited her and her team. "I wonder if Sasuke believes in legends?" Sakura asked herself before drifting off to sleep. Naruto's apartment. Naruto had arrived at his apartment that he personally owned since no one wanted to live near him and the landlord refused to house him, so the deed was given to Naruto and was being kept by the Sandaime. Naruto entered his bathroom to still see that he was Kazuma and couldn't help but blush at how she looked. "Kazuma's really pretty," Naruto thought as he removed the visor to see Kazuma's violet eyes. "She's even prettier than Sakura-chan." A flash of light shone and cleared to reveal Naruto in his original form where Kazuma once stood. "Guess time's up," said Naruto as he felt really winded. They were right, that did take a lot of chakra. After getting ready for bed, Naruto tiredly approached his ragged bed and fell on the mattress. "What a day," said Naruto as his body felt weird from using the legendary warrior's powers. "I wonder how things will be now that I have such power." The blonde drifted off to sleep, not knowing about what was planned for him in the future. Digital world, eternal void. A lone figure lazily floats within a void of everlasting darkness ever since his defeat by the hands of those brats. How could I have lost to those pathetic worms all those years ago? The figure roared out in anger. My power is unmatched by all. None could ever dream of having such power as I do. Give it a rest, said devil-like figure as it was sitting with two fiendish-looking figures playing cards. We all got beaten by a bunch of brats. A few of us have even been beaten more than once, so don't cry about it. Don't cry about it. The one figure asked in pure anger, don't cry about it. You do not even understand the severity of my loss. I was once the most feared Digimon in the digital world, and now I'm reduced to a mere child's tale and laughing stock. So what? One of the fiendish figures asked. At least you didn't get beaten by the dreams of every child your champion had collected for you. Nor did you get holes ripped into your body, said a metal serpent with a cannon-like nose. I died in horrible agony. The first figure decided to ignore the others and their silly little card game as he drifted into a different part of the void. Those fools should be trembling at my feet, the figure said as he tightened his fists until he felt something. What's this? Using a small amount of his power, the figure was able to create an oval-shaped window in the void that revealed to him a different world. This world was obviously different than the digital world, but there was something calling out to him. More correctly, someone. Observing the new world, the figure smiled as something had caught his eye. So there is someone who shares my ideals, the figure said as a plan began to formulate in his mind, and thankfully he was already pushed towards my direction. The figure knew that this person would be perfect for him in order to show both worlds the power that he truly possessed. The power that makes him into a god. The next morning found Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke waiting for their sensei to arrive. Naruto had decided to keep his powers a secret for the time being as it would just be a waste of breath considering his teammates. Hey Sakura-chan, said Naruto as he turned towards Sakura, since it might still be a while till Kakashi-sensei gets here. You think that? No way, Baka, said Sakura as she punched Naruto, sending the blonde into one of the posts. Damn it, Naruto said as he sat against the post, that what I wasn't going to ask, but you can forget about it now. The blonde felt his wounds healing as Ancient Mermaid's voice entered his mind. That girl really needs to calm herself down before that attitude of hers do her in, said Ancient Mermaid as she observed Sakura ogling Sasuke. She could have at least let you finish what you were going to say before hitting you like that. Probably didn't help that I have constantly bugged her about going on a date with me, Naruto thought as he got to his feet and dusted himself off. Hopefully Kakashi-sensei can at least teach us something after whatever missions we might have. Kakashi soon arrived as he said, Sorry I'm late, but my shower wasn't working so I had to go to a friend's house and borrow theirs. Sakura and Naruto gave their sensei an accusing look as the two of them said, Liar. The legendary warriors sighed at the man's attitude, knowing that asking Kakashi for anything would be like having to move a rock without actually touching the rock. After doing a few missions, Team 7 had returned to their training ground when Naruto asked, Hey Kakashi-sensei, you don't happen to know anything about chakra control, do ya? Sakura rolled her eyes and said, Of course Kakashi-sensei would know about chakra control, idiot. He's a Jonin so he'd probably have amazing chakra control to even allow him to use advanced jutsus that only the Hokage can perform. Naruto hid his agitated look as he said, I was only going to ask him if he could help me get a better handling on my chakra that way I'm not recklessly burning it up. Now, said Kakashi as he faced Naruto and Sakura, there's no need to be at each other's throats, we're supposed to be a team. I will teach you chakra control later, but right now we should work on our skills. Naruto mumbled to himself, only for Sakura to say, What was that, Baka? Naruto's mouth lightly twitched as he then said, I said, Some team we are. You guys left me tied to the post last night without even coming back for me. Sasuke scoffed as he said, That just proves how much of a dope you are for not knowing even the most simple of escape techniques. Kakashi soon stepped in and said, Calm down everyone, now Naruto, you need to show more appreciation towards your teammates if this is going to work out. Naruto's fists tightened before he relented with a sigh as the rest of the day was just spent on sparring, with him mostly not learning anything from the instructor. After the others left, Naruto sighed in frustration at not getting the training that he needed. Guess I'm on my own from here, said Naruto as he carefully looked around and saw that he was alone. Time for my own training. Spirit fusion, wind. A bright flash shone as Naruto was replaced with Kazumi as the fairy began to stretch. Let's see what I can do, said Kazumi as she looked at the training posts as small pink swirls of wind gathered on her fingertips. Hurricane wave. She threw her hands towards the posts as streams of pink tornadoes struck the posts, sending small grass blades and dust away. Not bad, said Kazumi as she soon got on her hands and began spinning. Tempest twist. The momentum of Kazamen's spinning created a large tornado that soon engulfed all 3 posts as Kazamen jumped back onto her feet. She's fast, Naruto thought as he examined the evaporating tornado, and her attacks could probably literally blow anyone away. Now let's see how I am with flying, said Kazamen as she quickly flew into the forest, not knowing about a pair of eyes watching her that soon followed her. Kazamen flew through the trees in a fast pace while dodging the many branches in her way. Spirit of the Wind really fits this character, said Kazamen as she continued to fly through the forest. Great speed and power over wind, she's very strong. Plus she is kind of cute. The sound of rustling leaves took Kazamen's attention away briefly, causing her to not see the tree she smacked into. The pair of eyes watching her cringed at the impact before it saw Kazamen slide down to the ground. Ow! Said Kazamen as she soon fell onto her back. Note to self. Work on sensing the area around me. The sound of rustling leaves alerted Kazamen of something out there, causing her to quickly jump to her feet. Who's there? Asked Kazamen as she got into a fighting stance. A figure soon arrived to show Sakura slowly appearing out of a nearby brush holding her hands up. Please don't hurt me, said Sakura as she tried to show that she was friendly. I'm not here to cause you trouble. I was actually coming by to check on my friend, Naruto. Why do I not believe that? Naruto thought to himself as he observed the rosette. If you're talking about the boy with blonde hair and whisker marks, then he already had left when I arrived, said Kazamen as she carefully lowered her guard. I was just training here since no one was around. You fight? Asked Sakura as she looked at the fairy Digimon's attire. In your underwear? Kazamen looked at herself before she said, Who says that you need bulky clothing when you can use your speed and control over wind to take out enemies? Sakura did see the logic as she had witnessed the fairy's speed and agility, as well as that giant tornado she had summoned. Oh, I'm sorry, said Sakura as she bowed towards Kazamen. I'm Sakura Haruno, what's your name? The fairy returned the bow and said, I'm Kazamen, Spirit of the Wind. I take it that Naruto's your teammate? Sakura nodded and said, Yeah, so how did you meet him? Guess it's time to use that story, Naruto thought as he remembered what the Sandaime had said. Well, said Kazamen, the other spirits and I were traveling to find our missing clan when I sensed someone from that clan. Sakura blinked in confusion and asked, You have a clan? Kazamen nodded and said, Yes, but that's another story. As I was saying, I sent someone from that clan to find your friend tied to one of those posts. I don't know what kind of joke it was, but I sensed that it was already old by the time I arrived. I approached him and cut him loose. I take it you just stood by and left him like that. Sakura's eyes widened as she said, No, it wasn't like that, Kazamen. We thought that he could get out on his own. Kazamen crossed her arms and said, Sure it wasn't like that. The poor guy was starving so I gave him some food that I had packed because with how he ate, none of you even bothered to at least make sure he had food. I offered to help him get home, but he said that he can get there by himself. Said Kazamen as she blushed guiltily. I wanted to make sure he got home safely so I followed him. I tell you, I lost him a couple of times before I saw that he made it home safely. Sakura let out a sigh of relief as she was glad that Naruto did make it home all right. I then returned to the others and told them about Naruto, Kazamen continued, and when they heard, our leader sent me and another spirit with me to keep an eye on him. So we watched him since then. Sakura soon felt a sharp glare from Kazamen and knew that she was in a bit of trouble. We saw how you treated him when he tried asking you for something before he even finished, said Kazamen with a hint of anger in her voice. Tell me something. Did you really know what he was going to ask? Sakura looked at Kazamen and said, I knew he was going to ask me out on a date, but that baka is clearly too dumb to see that I'm not the least bit interested in that piece of dead weight. I only care about Sasuke-kun. So that's how she feels about me, Naruto thought as he felt his heart break. So that's why you insult him and don't even bother helping him when clearly you know just enough to get by as a ninja, said Kazamen as she turned to leave. I'm sorry, but I have to get back to Ranamon or our leader will tear out my wings for abandoning him. Kazamen, wait, said Sakura, but the fairy Digimon had quickly began flying through the forest so the rosette decided to follow. Kazamen continued to fly through the forest before she saw Sakura following her and calling out to her through the branches. Damn it, Naruto thought as he wanted to lose Sakura before the time limit was up. Guess I have to show her what Kazuma can do. Kazuma lightly turned to face Sakura and said, I need you to stop following me or I'll get in trouble. Sakura continued to pursue the fairy Digimon until she saw Kazuma charge towards a nearby tree. Sorry, but I have no choice, said Kazuma as she began to rapidly kick the tree, Rosio temporarily. Sakura watched in awe as Kazuma's kicks soon break the tree before witnessing her kick the tree towards her. The rosette quickly jumped towards the ground and rolled back onto her feet, only to see that Kazuma had quickly disappeared from her sight. Kazuma, wait! Sakura yelled through the forest before she hung her head in defeat. I lost her. Kazuma continued to fly through the forest as she saw that she successfully got away from Sakura. I hated to do that, Naruto thought with guilt in his heart, but I needed to lose her, and be by myself for a while. We're sorry that you had to hear that, Sugar, said Ancient Mermaidman as she comforted Naruto through his mind. If it makes you feel any better, that girl doesn't know the kind of boy she just let escape through her fingers. You are the sweetest gentleman Ancient Kazuma and I have ever met in our lives. It's her loss. Ancient Kazuma soon joined in and said, yeah, and it's her loss that she loses you to a sweet girl that you deserve. Naruto felt the warmth from the legendary warriors of wind and water before a bright light enveloped him, causing him to fall to the ground in his original form. Ow! Said Naruto as he pushed himself onto his feet. Note to self: be on solid ground should time run out. After dusting the dirt off of himself, Naruto slowly continued through the forest as he was still thinking about how his whole day was nothing but a mess. Maybe tomorrow will be better, said Naruto as he could still feel the heartbreak from what Sakura had said, that is if the dead weight doesn't ruin it for everyone. Hokage's office. The Sandaime was looking through his crystal ball and couldn't help but sympathize with his grandson. I'm sorry that you had to learn that, Naruto, said the Sandaime as he looked at a nearby photo of himself in his younger years with his wife, Biwako. Sakura doesn't realize how bad she had hurt you, my grandson. The Sandaime carefully looked around before he pulled out a picture of an older version of Naruto, save for the whisker marks, and said, I hope you can forgive an old fool, Minato, but I am trying my best to help your son. Hopefully the legendary warriors can help him where I can't. The Sandaime quickly hid the picture of Minato as he had a feeling that the legendary warriors would end up being the family that Naruto had always dreamed of having. Aburame Clan Compound. Naruto slowly opened his eyes to find himself in an unfamiliar place that he had never seen before. Glad to see that you're awake, said a familiar voice as Naruto looked to see a young boy with spiky black hair wearing black sunglasses and a tannish green jacket that covered his lower face. Where? Asked Naruto as he slowly sat up. Where am I? The boy handed Naruto a small cup of tea and said, You are in the Aburame Clan Compound, Naruto, or more correctly, my room. Naruto carefully looked at the boy and then asked, Do I know you? You really don't remember me? Said the boy with a stoic voice, I'm Shino Aburame. We were in the same class together, and we even somehow graduated together. Naruto took a sip of the tea and said, Sorry, you just didn't stand out much to me. The blonde then saw some small containers with different bugs in each one of them as Shino said, I found you in the forest passed out while I was hunting for new specimens when my Kikaichu beetles sensed something nearby. In fact, they are still sensing something and it's coming from you. Naruto choked a bit on the tea and said, Well, Please do not lie to me, said Shino as Naruto felt a hardened glare from underneath the sunglasses. I know about what you carry and all I have to say is that I am not like those who see the ill that was fed to them. In fact, my entire clan and I respect you as the hero for holding the Kyuubi back. Naruto relaxed a bit as he took a sip of his tea. No, said Shino as he continued, I am talking about something else as there is a different wavelength that is in your chakra. Naruto wasn't sure about what to say until he heard Ancient Beetleman speak to him. I think you can trust him with knowing about us, said the legendary warrior of thunder. Something about him is telling me that he is almost like you with how you hold both us and the Kyuubi. Bring him inside your mind so we could meet him. Well, said Shino as he saw Naruto contemplating something. Naruto soon relented and said, I think it's better if I show you. Naruto held out his hand to shake while his eyes were closed and waited until Shino grabbed his hand and did the same. Shibi watched the two as he had a feeling that there was more to Naruto than what many believed and were told. Mindscape. Shino opened his eyes to find that he and Naruto were in some kind of sewer in front of a large cage. I take it we are in your mind, said Shino as he looked at Naruto before looking towards the cage, and I take it that the Kyuubi is being held inside that cage. Naruto nodded as Shino then looked to see the legendary warriors that stood outside of the cage. Meet the legendary warriors, said Naruto as he pointed to each one as he said their name. There's Ancient Greymon, Ancient Garurumon, Ancient Beetleman, Ancient Kazumon, Ancient Megatheriumon, Ancient Twizetman, Ancient Volcamon, Ancient Troyamon, Ancient Mermaimon, and Ancient Sphinxmon. Everyone, this is Shino Aburame. Ancient Kazumon flew towards Shino and said, It's nice to meet you, Shino. Shino didn't respond as he was too busy staring at Ancient Beetleman with awe. Hello? Asked Naruto as he saw the stoic face on the Aburame. Shino, are you there? Shino then moved towards Ancient Beetleman before he suddenly said, What an amazing specimen. He is just magnificent. The legendary warrior of thunder blushed at the compliment, and said, I'm flattered that you think of me like that, I guess. Shino continued to examine Ancient Beetleman and said, To think that you held such powerful and magnificent beings inside of you is one thing, but Ancient Beetleman is a being that even we Aburame would only imagine to exist only in legends. While I am honored to meet someone such as yourself, said Ancient Beetleman as he gave Shino a serious look, but we would like to ask you about our host. Shino understood the question and said, I see Naruto as not only an ally but as a friend who shares the similar burden, and those in my clan carry the Kikaichu beetles inside of our bodies. I would even see Naruto as an equal and hopefully a friend, Great Beetle-sama. Ancient Beetleman blinked and said, Great Beetle-sama, eh? I kind of like the sound of that. I like you, Shino, you're a swell guy. Now you two should get going. I believe we kept you here long enough. Shino gave the legendary warriors a bow as he and Naruto vanished with Ancient Beetleman, knowing that the Aburame will be a great friend towards the blonde. Training Field #7. Sakura and Sasuke were waiting near the posts when from the distance they saw Naruto and Shino heading towards them. So that was you? Said Naruto as he couldn't help but chuckle as Shino lightly nodded. And to think that those guys thought it was me slipping itching powder on them. The two stopped near Sakura and Sasuke before Shino said, It has been nice talking to you, Naruto-san, but I'd better get to my team. I do hope to talk to you later. Naruto watched Shino walk away and said, I can't wait to talk to you later as well, Shino. After Shino vanished into the distance, Sasuke looked at Naruto and said, What was that about Dobe? Naruto turned to face Sasuke and said, Shino was just telling about the few times he pranked the instructors that kicked me out by using his Kikaichu beetles to give them bug bites. He's a really good friend. How did I not meet him earlier? Sakura gave Naruto a deadpan look and said, You actually like him? He's a creepy loser with an obsession with those disgusting bugs. The rosette soon froze as Naruto gave her a sharp and frightening glare as he said, Do not disrespect my friend like that. Shino has told me so many cool things about the bugs that he and the Aburame clan study, like how ants can lift 20 times their own weight, or how there is actually a bug that finds your scent faster than any dog can that was once used by the Aburame clan during the ninja wars. You're lucky we're on the same team, Sakura, because I dislike those who disrespect my friends. Sakura felt a shiver down her spine as Naruto went to a nearby tree to examine it. What was that about? Sakura asked herself as she shook her head. Naruto had never spoken to me like that, and he didn't call me Sakura-chan. The Rosette had originally planned on talking to Naruto after what Kazumon had told her, but she was a bit afraid since she already got her blonde teammate upset with her. What do I do now? Sakura thought as Kakashi soon arrived to begin their day of missions and training. The day had ended as Kakashi and Sasuke had left after the team had spared a few rounds. Hey Naruto, asked Sakura as she carefully approached Naruto. When we were waiting for Kakashi-sensei yesterday, what were you going to ask me? Naruto looked at the rosette and said, I was going to ask you if you wanted to train a bit, and see if you knew anything about chakra control. Nothing too serious, just some warm-ups. But what would a dead weight like me know? Sakura froze at what the blonde had said while Naruto was mentally scolding himself for revealing that bit of information that Sakura had told Kazumon, aka him. Who told you that you were dead weight? Asked Sakura, concerned about Kazumon being nearby. I never said that you were dead weight. You're a part of the team, Naruto. Naruto looked at Sakura with a serious tone and said, That's not how I see it, Sakura. It's always Sasuke-kun this and Sasuke-kun that, and while I try to be your friend, all I get is a beating with a side of insults. The dates didn't even have to those kinds of dates, but just spending time together as friends, even if I did have a crush on you. But I soon found out that sometimes having a crush can lead you to be crushed. Sakura couldn't believe what she had heard as Naruto soon left as he mentioned something about getting some extra training on his own. Finding her nerve, Sakura then yelled, "You're just jealous that I like Sasuke-kun way more than you, as I could never hang around a stupid baka like you." The rosette triumphantly turned around and walked away with her head held up high, not knowing of the pained look on Naruto's face as her words echoed in the wind. "Forget her," Naruto said as he fought back the tears as he had done in the past. "You don't need a pathetic one-sided crush like that anymore. I will find a nice girl who will be as sweet and kind as I have dreamed before." Naruto continued to walk away, not knowing a pair of pale eyes watching him. One day, Naruto-kun, thought the owner of those eyes with a sweet dreamy smile on her face, one day, I will gather up my courage to tell you that I love you. Konoha Forest. Kakashi sat near a tree as he observed a shadow in the distance as his radio chimed. "This is Sasuke," said Sasuke's voice from the radio. "I made it to point B." "Sakura reporting," said Sakura's voice as she chimed in. "I made it to point C." "Naruto here," said Naruto's voice as he chimed in. "I'm waiting in point A." "Take it easy, Naruto," said Kakashi as the shadow then quickly moved away. "The target has moved. I repeat, the target has moved." The shadow ran as the three genin carefully chased after it until it came to a stop while the genin hid behind a few trees. "What is the status of the target?" Kakashi's voice chimed in on their radios. "About 5 meters, sensei," said Naruto as he had to fight the urge to quickly jump the shadow. "I'm ready for the signal." "I'm ready as well," said Sasuke as he observed the shadow. "Awaiting the signal," said Sakura as she carefully examined the small red ribbon on the shadow. "All right, on my mark," said Kakashi as he waited for the right moment from his location. "Now!" The three genin soon charged the shadow as Naruto quickly grabbed it from behind. Kakashi heard the struggling sounds of the fire daimyo's wife's cat along with Naruto's as he said, "Confirm target by red ribbon on right ear." Sasuke's voice came in and said, "Ribbon confirmed. Target, Tora the cat, captured." Hokage's office. Team 7 had watched the wife of the fire daimyo carry her cat away while hugging it to death. "No wonder that stupid cat scratched the hell out of me," said Naruto as he was covered in claw marks that were slowly vanishing. "That woman's crushing him to death." The Sandaime looked at the other available missions as he silently agreed with Naruto and said, "Since Team 7 has completed their mission capture missing pet, Tora, there are still a few available missions. These missions include babysitting a councilwoman's 3 children, digging potatoes, and isn't there any other mission we can do that doesn't sound like doing everyday chores?" asked Naruto as he was agitated by the deranked missions. "We're not getting anywhere with these stupid deranks." The Hokage sighed at the boy's impatience, but he has seen a change in the team during the past week, Naruto more than the others. While Sasuke and Sakura had received training and better knowledge than Naruto, the blonde was now carrying himself with an aura that screamed "bring it," while it was backed up with a look that said "watch me." Indeed, Naruto has gotten stronger in the past week thanks to the legendary warriors. The blonde did have a better understanding and knowledge of Kazamon's and Ranamon's power through training with both spirits, and through the help of ancient Kazamon and ancient Mermanen. Naruto eventually gained access to the spirits of Thunder and Fire, Beat Lemon and Agunamon respectively. Naruto's chakra control was still horrible, but through his stubbornness, Naruto had extended his time limit by an extra 30 seconds. Naruto was still waiting to access the power of the beast spirit, but the legendary warriors had told him that he wasn't yet ready for them. Beast spirit or not, Naruto thought as he looked at the Sandaime with expectation, "I'm ready for whatever mission is next." The Hokage smiled and said, "All right, we do have a C-ranked mission. You 4 are to protect and escort our client back to his home in Nami. Bring him in." The team looked to see a middle-aged man step in with a tipsy step as a bottle of booze in his hand proved that the man had a bit much. "So this is the ninja team that's supposed to protect me?" said the man with rosy cheeks. "A bunch of brats?" Naruto looked at the client and said, "We're more than just a bunch of brats, sir." The man looked the blonde over and said, "Whatever, just don't get me killed. I'm the great bridge builder Tazuna." After Tazuna had left, Kakashi faced his team and said, "Alright, go get your things packed and meet me and Tazuna at the gate in 20 minutes. The Hokage watched Team 7 leave as Irika asked, "Are you sure they're ready for this, Lord Hokage?" The elderly man leaned back on his chair and said, "I know that they are just Jen and Irika, but know that Naruto is right about us holding them back. They will never grow into the ninja that is needed if we kept them here and hold their hands constantly. We can only be there for them as support." Irika looked out the window as he thought, "I know, but I still worry about Naruto, my little brother." Konoha gates. It had been 25 minutes as Team 7, minus Naruto, and Tazuna were waiting when the blonde had arrived. "You're late, Naruto," said Sakura as she glared at the blonde. "Hey, can't I tell my friends goodbye before I leave the village on a potentially dangerous mission?" Naruto countered, sending a small glare of his own towards Sakura. "Who knows, it might be the last time they could ever see me." "Alright, settle down you two," said Kakashi. "Now that we're here, let's get moving as I'm sure that Tazuna-san would like to get home." Sakura huffed as she and the others walked through the gates, but she couldn't help but scold herself mentally. Since that little outburst of hers last week had caused a rift between Sakura and Naruto to where the blonde would just treat her like a member of the team and would mostly train on his own or hang out with Shino. At first the week was almost a dream come true for Sakura, but as time had gone by it felt empty without Naruto trying to ask her on a date or try to cheer her up after Sasuke rejects her. It almost felt like the part of her childhood before she met Ino, when the other kids picked on her because of her large forehead. "No, I don't want things to go back to that," Sakura thought as she hated those memories. "I want things to go back to how they were before. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually miss Naruto trying to talk to me and I miss being friends with Ino. What do I do? How about trying to get him to be friends with us again?" said inner Sakura. I for one really didn't mind Naruto's company as some of the jokes he had pulled before were really good. "Oh, what would you know," Sakura thought as she pushed her inner self away. "What has he ever done for you? He's just being a pain to me, spoiled brat." Path towards Nami. Team 7 and Tazuna were walking down the road when Naruto and Kakashi noticed a puddle of water on the road. "Maybe I should have brought an umbrella," said Naruto as he examined the sky while Kakashi was thinking of something else. Before anyone could act, two masked men with large gauntlets chained together appeared and had the Jonin wrapped up in the chain. "Say goodbye," said one of the men as he and the other pulled their gauntlets to slice Kakashi to bits. "You kids are next." "I don't think so," said Naruto as he got into a fighting stance. "Sakura, protect Tazuna while Sasuke and I handle these two. If things get bad, run." Sakura pulled out a kunai as Naruto and Sasuke charged towards the masked men. "Hope your parents are ready to bury their child," said one of the men as he went to slash Naruto, only for the blonde to duck. "I don't have to worry," said Naruto as he pulled back his fist. "I'm an orphan." Naruto punched the man in the gut as Sasuke had kicked the other man in the jaw, making the two disconnect the chains. The two didn't see the men quickly past them and aimed for Sakura, and when the attack was about to attack, Kakashi quickly swooped in and clotheslined the two men in the neck. "Kakashi-sensei," said Sakura as the Jonin unsealed some rope to tie the two unconscious men together. "You're alright." Kakashi looked at his student and said, "Of course I'm alright. Did you really think I could be taken down that easily by a misplaced genjutsu?" That was when Kakashi turned to Tazuna and said, "Why did you lie about the mission? These two are the feared demon brothers, so tell me, why would ninjas target a simple bridge builder?" Tazuna sighed as he knew he was caught, and there was no way of getting out. "Alright," said Tazuna as he knew he had no choice, "I'll tell you why." Konoha, Hokage's office. The Sandaime was sitting in the office as he was working through some of the demonic paperwork when Team 8 had entered. "Kurenai Yuhi reporting that the mission, rooftop repair, was a complete success," said a woman with long black hair and red eyes wearing white bandages over a red shirt. "Good job, here's your pay," said the Hokage when a small dog appeared in his office and handed him a scroll. Kurenai saw the Sandaime's eye widen and knew that it wasn't good. "What's wrong, Hokage-sama?" asked Hinata Hyuga with concern in her voice. "It appears that Team 7 had ran into some unexpected trouble due to false information," said the elderly man, getting a shocked look from Hinata and a questioning hum from Shino. "I'm guessing that Dobe couldn't handle a single bandit mission outside the village. laughed a boy with spiky brown hair and long red fawn-like marks on his cheeks wearing a gray fur jacket while a small white dog sat on his head. Shino turned and looked at the boy as his glasses slightly moved to show a small sharp look in his eyes. I ask that you do not disrespect Naruto-san in my presence, Kiba, unless you and Akamaru want fleas for the next week. The boy and dog flinched and kept their mouths shut while the Sandaime gave the Abirame a questionable look. Naruto-san? Asked the elderly man as he looked at Shino. Why do you call him that? Shino adjusted his glasses to cover his eyes and said, I respect Naruto for who he is and his secrets, Hokage-sama. He had also won the respect of the Abirame clan as Naruto-san will always be a welcomed guest at our compound. The Sandaime lightly smiled at Naruto not only making a new friend, but gaining the respect of an entire clan. Very well, said the elderly man as he handed a scroll to Kurenai. This scroll contains details of Team 7's mission and their destination. Now hurry before the worst happens. Team 8 nodded and quickly left while the Hokage looked out his window in deep thought. Please be safe, Naruto, the Sandaime thought as he watched Team 8 rush through the village path towards Nami. Team 7 and Tazuna had decided to continue with their mission after the bridge builder had revealed that the ninjas after him were hired by a powerful drug lord named Gato, and that the bridge that connected Nami to the land was the only way to stop Gato's influence. Kakashi agreed, but he had sent word to the Hokage to send in backup as soon as possible, as who knows what other ninja might appear. As they continued walking, Naruto heard something in the bushes and quickly dashed towards it, and pulled out a small white rabbit. You scared me, little guy, said Naruto as he held the rabbit by the ears. Who wants white rabbit stew? Kakashi ignored that rabbit's frantic struggling as he thought. That rabbit's fur shouldn't be white during spring unless someone had kept his inside. Then that means... everyone! Said Kakashi as he tackled everyone to the ground. Get down! A giant sword had just barely missed them as it was soon embedded into a nearby tree as a man with short spiky black hair with bandages over the lower half of his face wearing gray pants and winter camouflage leg and arm warmers. Team 7 and Tazuna quickly got up with the genin surrounding Tazuna while Kakashi got into a fighting position. I should have known that nothing would ever get by the famous copycat ninja, said the man as he looked at Kakashi. Isn't that right, Kakashi of the Sharingan? Sharingan? Asked Sakura as she knew that only those of the Uchiha clan possessed the legendary dojutsu. Kakashi lifted up his Hitai to reveal a red eye with 3 tomos in the iris. How does he have the Sharingan? Sasuke thought as a heavy mist blanketed the area. Naruto was surprised that his sensei had something like the Sharingan as the blonde had actually expected to see a gaping hole where Kakashi's previous eye was. I need you 3 to run and get Tazuna out of here, said Kakashi as he kept his focus on the man on the sword. That's Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the mist. He's too powerful for you 3 to handle, so while I deal with him, take Tazuna out of here. Naruto tightened his fists and said, I agreed to take this mission no matter the risks, and I am not going to let this guy scare me that easily. Kakashi could feel the steel-like resolve in Naruto's words and knew that it would take more to get the blonde to back away as he then sensed Sakura's and Sasuke's resolve. You got guts, Gaki, said Zabuza as he soon appeared between the genin and Tazuna. Too bad that I'll end up ripping them right out of you. Kakashi quickly replaced himself with his genin team and Tazuna before cutting the Kiri ninja with a kunai, only for Zabuza to turn into water. A water clone, said Sakura as she and the others regained their balance as more Zabuzas appeared. Kakashi quickly ran through while slashing each Zabuza before he saw a Zabuza standing on the nearby lake and went to attack him. This Zabuza quickly jumped back and pulled out the giant sword, easily bisecting Kakashi, but soon found that Kakashi had melted into water. So, said Zabuza as he quickly turned around to block an attack from Kakashi, you copied my jutsu. No matter, I'll still kill the bridge builder. Naruto and Sasuke were dealing with some of the Zabuza clones when they heard the sound of chanting and looked to see Kakashi, and the real Zabuza launched 2 dragon-shaped jets of water at each other. The 2 Jonin then met at the center before another Zabuza appeared and trapped Kakashi in a sphere of water while the other charged towards the genin. I'll take care of him, said Naruto as he formed his cross-hand seal, multi-shadow clone jutsu. A legion of Narutos appeared and quickly dog-piled the man, until they were all launched when Zabuza quickly swung his sword. Sasuke! shouted Naruto as he threw a folded object towards said person. Sasuke caught it and smirked before he turned around as the object unfolded to reveal a windmill shuriken. Sasuke threw the shuriken towards Zabuza and the Kiri ninja was ready to bat it away when the weapon flew by him towards the other Zabuza. So you saw through the clone? No matter, said the real Zabuza as he then caught the shuriken effortlessly. You'll have to do more than that if you wish to take me down. The sound of metal flying in the wind alerted Zabuza of another shuriken flying towards him. A second shuriken, said Zabuza as he quickly jumped to avoid the attack until the shuriken then transformed into Naruto. Surprise, dumbass, said Naruto as he threw a kunai towards Zabuza. The swordsman couldn't risk an injury to the shoulder, so he quickly moved his arm out of the sphere of water, avoiding the kunai and setting Kakashi free. You brat, said Zabuza as he summoned a clone underwater and sent it towards Naruto before Kakashi quickly attacked him. The clone pulled Naruto underwater and planned on drowning the blonde while the real Zabuza handled Kakashi. Let's see how you like one more surprise, Naruto thought with a smirk on his face as he as a flash of light shone through the water. Above the water, Kakashi was using a kunai to hold his ground against Zabuza's sword when a bright light shone from the water. Gaki must have blown himself up, said Zabuza as he smirked under the bandages. Naruto, Kakashi thought as the image of Naruto floating towards the bottom lifelessly until he saw a figure burst from the water and kick Zabuza. The figure was a young girl with sea-foam green skin wearing a blue one-piece swimsuit and hat adorned with fins. Who are you? Asked Kakashi as he was curious about the figure that stood on the water next to him. Where's Naruto? The girl looked at the Jonin and said, My name's Ranamon, and if you're talking about Blondie, then he's safe with a few of my friends. The two then saw Zabuza attacking them, but missed as Kakashi and Ranamon quickly jumped away. My word, someone's being quite rude, said Ranamon as she slid on the water before holding her hand in the air. Let's see how you handle a little draining rain. A rain cloud formed over Zabuza and began pouring a stream of water over the Kiri ninja until he used his sword to swat it away. I don't know what you are, but you're a fool for thinking that you could use water against me, said Zabuza as he lifted the giant blade over his shoulder before his body began to heave from the weight. What is this? How could I be this tired already? Zabuza questioned himself as he tried to catch his breath until he saw Kakashi dash towards him. He quickly jumped away while he felt the blade becoming heavier by the second. I only have one shot at this rate, Zabuza thought as he went to circle around Kakashi, only to find the Konoha ninja mimicking him. What the hell? Said Zabuza as he tried circling Kakashi in the other direction, but the man was mimicking him again. How are you doing this? Said Kakashi, shocking Zabuza out of his wits. Zabuza went to perform a jutsu, only for Kakashi to quickly finish the jutsu. Water style, giant vortex jutsu, said Kakashi as a giant vortex of water appeared and slammed the Kiri ninja into a tree before using kunai to trap him against the tree. And to make sure you don't butcher anyone with that blade, said Ranamon as a small cloud formed on the giant's sword, dark vapor. Everyone watched as the cloud was somehow melting the sword until it was half its size and completely dulled. Zabuza then saw Kakashi appear in the tree and said, Can you see into the future? Kakashi looked at the man and ominously said, Yes, and your future is death. 3 Senbon needles soon appeared and were jammed into Zabuza's neck as a young man with long black hair wearing a mask, a green jacket, and brown pants appeared. Kakashi saw Zabuza fall to the ground and went to examine the man's vitals, only to find him dead. Thank you for weakening this criminal, said the young man as he soon lifted the man and the ruined sword. I must go now and take care of the body. Farewell. The young boy vanished with Zabuza in tow while Kakashi soon approached Ranamon. Thank you for your assistance, said Kakashi as Sakura, Sasuke, and Tazuna walked next towards the two. It wasn't a problem, sugar, said Ranamon as she smiled. My friends and I were just passing by when we saw the scuffle. I dove in to save Naruto-kun and helped you while my friends took care of Blondie. Sakura soon approached Ranamon and asked, You don't happen to know Kazuma, do you? Of course, sugar, said Ranamon as she chuckled. She told me about how you feel about Naruto-kun, and all I have to say is that you are quite the fool for throwing away a little gentleman for a boy whose attitude could match a grumpy porcupine. Sakura's eyes twitched as she said, Don't talk about my Sasuke-kun like that, you Sahag. Ranamon huffed as she then walked towards the water. Seeing what she had done, Sakura quickly ran towards the water fairy Digimon and said, wait. I'm sorry, Ranamon. I didn't mean that, honestly. Sure you didn't mean that, said Ranamon as she made it to the edge of the water. Like how you didn't mean it when you told Kazuma that Naruto is just dead weight to the team. Sakura cringed at that as she then said, Look, can I at least go with you to talk to Naruto? I don't want to lose another friend. Ranamon turned to face Sakura with a questioning look and said, You think of him as a friend? Ha! I don't think he considers you as a friend, and frankly he decided to just stop trying since you're so hung up on beating the poor boy to death while you crush not just his spirits, but his poor fragile heart. Sakura was shocked that Naruto didn't see her as a friend as she then grabbed Ranamon's wrist and said, You're wrong. Naruto still sees me as a friend. You're lying. You're making him into your own little puppet, you little. Slap. Everyone froze as Sakura fell to the ground with a bright red mark on her cheek from Ranamon's backhanded slap. Don't you dare say that about me, said Ranamon as anger burning in her eyes as she stared down Sakura. I would never do such vile things to that poor sweet boy. Now if you don't mind, I need to get back with the others. We'll have Naruto wait at the docks in Nami. Sakura watched as Ranamon dove into the water and swim away as she felt the stinging mark on her face. Teammates soon arrived to witness what had happened as Kurenai asked, What happened here and who was that? Shino calmly looked around and asked, Where's Naruto-san, Kakashi-sensei? Kakashi looked at Kurenai's team and said, It's a long story, but we must get Tazuna home before any more trouble start. It wasn't a few steps later that the silver-haired Jonin fell to the ground, scaring everyone around him as his world had gone dark. Kakashi! Nami, docks. Naruto stood on the edge of the docks as he soon saw a small boat arrive carrying his teammates, Kurenai's team, and Tazuna. When the boat got close enough, Sakura quickly jumped onto the docks and hugged Naruto. Naruto! Said Sakura as she hugged the blonde, I'm glad you're alright. You're not hurt, are you? That Ranamon didn't do anything bad to you, did she? Naruto carefully pushed Sakura away and said, I'm fine and I don't know who you're talking about. I passed out underwater when that water clone dragged me, and when I woke up, I was here. Naruto looked over Sakura's shoulder to see Kurenai holding Kakashi up and asked, What happened to Kakashi-sensei? Just a little chakra exhaustion, Naruto, said Kakashi as he was completely drained. I used my Sharingan too long, but we should get to Tazuna's house. He agreed to take us in while we protect him and help out on the bridge. The blonde nodded as he soon saw Shino and said, Hey Shino, didn't expect to see you here. How have you been? Shino shrugged and said, Alright. I'm just glad that you are okay, Naruto-san. Come on, said Tazuna as he waved towards the Konoha ninja. We can talk more at my house. Everyone nodded and followed the man through the rundown village towards his home, Gato's hideout. A short man with tannish brown hair wearing a suit walked into a room where Zabuza was resting on the couch, holding the ruined sword in his hand. I hired you to kill Tazuna, and here you are licking your wounds after getting tossed around by a copycat and a little water fairy? Asked the man as one of his bodyguards chuckled until the giant blade was rammed into his body, sticking him to the wall. That wasn't an ordinary water fairy, Zabuza growled at the hit to his pride. If she was able to damage the Kubikuribocho with that jutsu of hers, then one can only imagine what she can do to a person with it. The sword was returning to its original shape as the bodyguard struggled to free himself until he limped over the blade. Now that the Kubikuribocho's fixed, all we need to do is wait for me to get better and I'll handle that bridge builder, and this time, I will kill all who stand in my way. Right, Haku? A figure appeared from the shadows to reveal the young man as he pulled the sword free from the wall and returned it to the owner. Of course, said the young man as he removed his mask to reveal a feminine-looking face, Zabuza-sama. The young man then faced the shorter man and said, It would be wise to leave right now, Gato. I still have to tend to some of Zabuza-sama's wounds. The man grunted as he and his remaining bodyguard left, leaving the two alone. Keep an eye on the boy, said Zabuza as he leaned back on the couch. I can't shake the feeling that he and that water fairy are connected somehow. Haku nodded and said, As you order. Tazuna's house. The Konoha ninja and Tazuna had arrived at the bridge builder's home, and they had just finished dinner when Kakashi spoke up. I hate to break this to everyone, but Zabuza is still alive, said the Jonin as everyone looked at his with complete shock. But how is that possible? Sakura asked. You even said that his future was death, and you even checked his vitals. Kakashi laced his fingers together and said, I know, but something wasn't right when the Hunter-nin arrived and took Zabuza away. All Hunter-nins are to dispose of the body right at the spot, and yet, he took him away. That Hunter-nin also used Saban needles to strike at the pressure points on Zabuza's neck. Pressure points, when struck like that, causes a death-like state, Kurenai finished, getting a nod from the Cycloptic Jonin. Okay, but even if Zabuza was somehow still alive, said Sakura, that sword of his is completely useless thanks to Ranamon. Kakashi let out a sigh and said that might be the case were it a regular sword, but that sword is one of the legendary swords of the mist, Kubikurabocho. That particular sword could be completely dulled down to the hilt, as all it would take to repair it would be the blood to its victims. Great, Naruto thought as he remembered melting the sword as Ranamon. There goes turning that sword into crap. So how long do you think we have until he returns? Asked Kiba with Akamaru lying underneath his chair. Kakashi looked at everyone and said, I'm only guessing on this, but he may come back in 7 days. So until then, we are going to train for when that day arrives as we protect the bridge builder. Forest. The Konoha ninja arrived in a forest as Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke were watching their sensei, who was on crutches, stand before them. Alright, time for you to learn how to climb trees, said Kakashi with his trademark eye smile, without using your hands. Kurenai shockingly looked at the Jonin and said, You're now teaching them chakra control. My team already knows that and the water walking exercises. Naruto looked towards Shino as saw the Aburame lightly nod confirming that he knew the exercises. Kakashi demonstrated how to perform the exercises as Kurenai's students decided to work on their own training. All you have to do is focus your chakra onto the bottom of your feet, said Kakashi as he hobbled back down to the ground. But you must the amount correct. Too little and you just slip right off and too much will knock you away. Kakashi then tossed the kunai to each of his students and said, Use these to mark your progress. Alright, said Naruto as he focused his chakra, here goes. Naruto ran towards the tree and after a few steps he was violently blown off. Ow! Naruto groaned as he slowly got back onto his feet, guess that was too much chakra. Sasuke then approached a tree as he focused his chakra before running towards it. He felt his feet slipping after 7 steps up the tree when he slashed his mark and jumped back. You're so amazing, Sasuke-kun, said Sakura before she focused her chakra. She was able to take 10 steps before she had to jump away after leaving her mark. This is going to take a while, Naruto thought as he heard the legendary warrior of wood crying in his mind, Sorry, ancient Troyaman. A few minutes had passed as Team 8 was watching Team 7's progress. Sakura had already made it up to a branch while Sasuke was 3/4 of the way and Naruto was barely halfway. Very good, Sakura, said Kakashi as he observed his students. If you want to, you can go see if Tazuna needs any help with the bridge. Kurenai soon stepped in and said, Why not have Sakura help her teammates with this exercise? Seeing the woman's point, Sakura jumped down from the branch and looked at Sasuke. Do you need any help, Sasuke-kun? Sakura asked when she received a glare from the Uchiha. Alright, well, I'll be off. What about Naruto? Asked Kiba as said Blonde cursed to himself after sliding off from his tree again. He could use some help. Sakura looked to see Naruto get up and try again, only for the blonde to make it 2 steps further than before. He's doing alright by himself, said Sakura as a disapproving look from Kurenai told her otherwise. Don't bother, said Naruto as he got to his feet. If she doesn't want to help, then let her do what she wants. I'm only getting in the way of her wonderful social life. The Rosette looked at Naruto and said, Oh, and what would you know about having a social life like mine, Baka? The sound of furious buzzing alerted Sakura to the swarm of beetles around her as Shino looked at her. I will help Naruto-san, said Shino as he kept his gaze on Sakura. If it is alright with you, Kurenai-sensei. Kurenai looked at her student and gave him a nod before she turned her attention to Kakashi. See, Kakashi, said Kurenai as she gave the Cyclops an accusing look, you talk about how important teamwork is, but look at your team. The reason why this team needed help with this mission is because it's dysfunctional and you're not doing anything to correct it. Now if you don't mind, I'm going to see if Tsunami needs any help. Everyone watched as Kurenai stormed off with Hinata and Kiba and Akamaru following her while Kakashi looked at his team to find Sasuke continue his exercise. Sakura was staring at him like a lost puppy, while Naruto was facing Shino as the Abderame was giving him advice on the exercise. Kakashi-sensei? Asked Sakura as she was concerned about her teacher. Is this really what I'm doing? Kakashi asked himself as he saw that Sasuke had finally made it halfway past the branch while Naruto was actually making better progress than before. Minato-sensei and Obito would be greatly disappointed in me for stomping on their teachings. I'm going back to the house, said Kakashi as he hobbled through the woods. I need to get some rest. Continue your training if you want to. Sakura solemnly watched Kakashi leave as she then looked at where Naruto and Sasuke were at on their trees. Sasuke had made it to the second branch while Naruto had just made it to the branch before falling next to Shino. Is the team really in that bad of shape? Sakura thought to herself as she watched Naruto run up the tree again while Sasuke had landed on the ground, covered in sweat. Yeah, we don't always get along, but teams are supposed to have conflict like this, right? Sakura then thought about what Kazumi and Ranamon had said about how she treated her blonde teammate as a twinge of guilt had struck her heart. Maybe I should at least be nicer to him, Sakura thought as Naruto ran up the tree halfway past the branch before slashing the bark as he leapt from the tree. Dream World. Kakashi was wandering through an endless field of green when he saw two figures in the distance. After looking real hard, the Jonin's lona widened as he knew who the figures were, Obito Uchiha and Minato Namikaze. Obito! Sensei! Cheered Kakashi as he rushed towards them until he was punched in the gut by Obito. Kakashi fell to his knees, holding his stomach, as he looked up to see the look of disappointment in both Obito's and Minato's faces and felt heartache and pain just by staring at them. You've disappointed me, Kakashi, said Obito as he stared at the man with his lone eye. Didn't you learn anything after that mission, the day that I died? Kakashi looked to see that Obito's remaining eye was a fully matured Sharingan, and the glare was laced in pure venom. I'm beginning to think that I was wrong in giving you my eye, said Obito as he turned to walk away. Obito, wait, said Kakashi as he tried to crawl towards his friend. Come back. Kakashi, said Minato as the sound of his name gave said man chills down his spine. You have disappointed me as well. I took you in hopes of helping you get past your father's death and get you to open up to others. Unfortunately, I was wrong into thinking that you could let go of such memories. Kakashi felt himself shatter at those words and he looked up to see Minato's face change into Naruto's whiskered face. What's wrong? Said Minato with a stoic look. You look like you saw a ghost. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if you never thought of it. Kakashi wanted to say that he knew that Naruto was Minato's son, and he always saw the blonde as a little brother. The cycloptic Jonin then saw something change with Obito and Naruto Minato. Their forms changed into two new figures. One was a man with fiery yellow-orange hair that reached down his waist wearing red and yellow armor, and the other was also a man in gold and black armor that was adorned with lion-like features. Kakashi, said the man in the lion armor with Obito's voice, I thought that by giving you my Sharingan that you will honor and carry all that I believe in, but now I see that all you use it for is to stay connected to me along with the Uchiha boy you seem to favor. Had I made a mistake with trusting you with such a gift? Kakashi wanted to say something, but the man in red armor said, had I made a mistake in thinking that you can be able to let go of the past and focus on the future, especially the future of my son? The Jonin then felt something pulling him from underneath, and when he looked down, he saw a giant demonic-looking beast holding a black sphere in its large claws. Inside the sphere, Kakashi could see a small boy draped in white robes. The boy had raven black hair and two fully matured Sharingan eyes. Sasuke, said Kakashi as he tried to pull himself away from the beast, get out of there. Sasuke chuckled as his sickly sweet voice said, why? I have all the power to avenge my clan, the power to kill that man. You helped me get to where I am and the only one who can stop me is too weak to do anything and it's all thanks to you, Kakashi-sensei. In his panicked state, Kakashi quickly turned to the two armored men and said, Obito, Sensei, please help me. I didn't want this. I wanted to honor your memories. Please save me. Obito, Minato-sensei. Kakashi saw the two armored men vanish as he tried to claw himself away before the large beast clamped its mouth shut. End dream. Tizuna's house. Sensei, said Kakashi as he rose up from his bed with sweat running down his brow. He looked around to find that it was just him, and it was all just a terrible nightmare. Minato-sensei, Obito, Kakashi thought as he put his face into his hands, I'm so sorry. Dinner had arrived as Kakashi was sitting at the table as everyone had finished with their dinner. Did you sleep well, sensei? Asked Sakura as she looked at her teacher. Kakashi was glad he had his mask on as he paled at the memory of the nightmare and said, yes, it was good to get some needed rest. Kurenai gave Kakashi a quick look and saw the haunted look in his lone eye, and she decided not to bring it up as she thought it was just those old war dreams. She still has them from time to time as those days were never the same. So, said Kakashi as he looked at his students, how was the rest of your training? Why bother, said a small boy wearing green overalls and a hat. You're just going to die fighting for a lost cause. Tsunami looked at the boy pleadingly and said, Inari, please don't be like this. Inari scowled and said, why? Nothing they can do will stop Gato as he and all his thugs will kill them without a second thought. They should just return to their village as all they do will count for nothing. Do they even really care about us? Kraboom! Everyone was taken aback as Naruto held Inari by his shirt against the wall and had a threatening look on his eyes. Don't you dare say that we don't care about anyone, Naruto said as he tightened his grip. Have you ever had to grow up all by yourself without a parent to love or to be loved by? Have you ever had people ruthlessly beat the crap out of you for no reason or even put you down just because you were trying to be better than everyone? Have you ever thought of killing yourself because no one had ever seen past the lies spoken about you? A threatening aura was pouring out of Naruto as those watching could have sworn that there was a red dragon standing over the blonde, ready to kill Inari with one fell swipe. And then Naruto-kun, please stop, said Hinata as she feared for the small child's safety. He didn't know what he was talking about. The blonde looked at Hinata as the aura rescinded and the dragon's image had vanished. Naruto gave one last look to Inari before throwing the boy to the side and headed towards the door. Naruto, said Kakashi with slight authority in his voice, where are you going? The blonde looked at Kakashi and said, I'm going out, don't wait for me. Naruto exited the house as he slammed the door behind him, shaking the whole building and leaving everyone shocked and paralyzed at what had happened. What was that? Sakura thought as the image of the dragon was burned in her mind. Was that really Naruto? Sasuke couldn't believe what he had witnessed. That amount of killing intent was insane. He had never felt fear like that since the massacre of his clan. Kakashi and Kurenai wanted to question what had happened right there as that killing intent had actually paralyzed them to the core. But that wasn't the Kyuubi, Kakashi thought as he remembered feeling its killing intent years ago. That was something else. Something that even Ibiki himself would fear. Kakashi-sensei, asked Sakura as she slightly settled her nerves. What was Naruto talking about? Kakashi let out a sigh as he decided to mention parts about Naruto's life. Naruto had said Kakashi as he tried to find the right words without revealing too much about said blonde, very rough life. He grew up alone and at first, unloved, but it was thanks to very few people that Naruto was able to find that love. That is the reason he used to ask you out so many times, Sakura. He had love of a small family, but he never had that special love, that addictive love that makes people crazy and at times, weird. Sakura felt the guilt rip her heart badly for how she had treated him now as what Kazumi and Ranamon had said to her had rung through her skull. But I don't understand about why me? Why not anyone else? Asked Sakura as Hinata had to resist giving the rosette a deadpan look. Well, Kakashi continued as he knew he had to tread lightly until Shino spoke up. Do you happen to know Naruto-san's birthday? Shino asked with a stoic, but questioning tone. After getting no answer, the Abirame then said, I see. This is why this team is so dysfunctional. Either you nor Sasuke had ever bothered to just talk to Naruto-san instead of belittling him because of how idiotic he makes himself. I happen to know Naruto-san's birthday and he knows of mine, and with when his birthday is, I understand why he is wary of whom he tells. Sakura looked at Shino and asked, when is Naruto's birthday? Shino adjusted his glasses as he said, forgive me, but I do not wish to indulge you of Naruto-san's birthday, especially to those who do not care for him. Now if you do not mind, I must get some rest as we know only have 6 days until Zabuza returns. After Shino climbed the stairs, Kakashi had gotten up and began to hobble towards the door. Where are you going? Asked Sakura as Kakashi opened the door. Before he walked out, Kakashi said, I'm going to do something that I should have been doing from the start, and if all of you are smart, you are to stay here as Kurenai will be temporarily in charge until I return. Kurenai gently smiled as the silver-haired Jonin closed the door behind him as she knew what the man was going to do. Forest. Naruto laid on the ground after letting his clones beat the hate out of him, much to the legendary warrior's chagrin. They warned me about letting myself fly off the handle like that, Naruto thought as he remembered that ominous aura when he had confronted Inari. I can't risk becoming wild like that if I'm going to have even a splinter's chance of controlling the beast's spirits. But there are better ways of dealing with some of those wild emotions that doesn't involve literally beating yourself up, said ancient Wiseman. You can meditate, do some gardening, yoga, and even just sleeping. But those won't work, said Naruto as he got to his feet as the soreness left his body. Not for me anyway. I just need to let this anger out without hurting anyone. The other legendary warriors wanted to argue, but ancient Sphinxman said let the boy handle his problems how he wants to as he knows that he can talk to us or those he sees close to him for whenever he needs it. Naruto smiled as he thanked the legendary warrior of darkness as he decided that he had enough chakra for some more training. Kakashi had just made it to where Naruto could be when he saw a sudden flash of light. What was that? Kakashi thought as he increased his crippled pace. Please let Naruto be safe. When he arrived, Kakashi's uncovered eye widened as he saw the man in red armor throwing multiple punches and kicks. What's he doing here? Kakashi thought as he saw the man in red armor look at a tree and tightened his fists. All right, said the armored man as he formed a hand seal with a cloud of dust flying from his feet. Time to try something. Is he? The cycloptic ninja thought as the armored figure ran towards the tree and took a few steps before slipping and smacking his face into the tree. Training? Training for what? Arg. Damn it. The armored man cried out as he held his injured face. I'm back at square freaking one. The man got to his feet as he took in a deep breath and let it out as he said, keep it together, man. Don't need Burning Greymon destroying everything and risking everyone's lives. Who's Burning Greymon? Kakashi thought as took a step forward and inadvertently stepped on a twig. Snap! Who's there? Said the armored man as he turned towards the source of the sound and took a fighting stance, fists igniting with destructive fire. Show yourself. Kakashi decided to step out of the shadows, getting a shocked look from the armored man as the flames in his fists had gone out, and said, You have nothing to worry about me. I just have some questions for you that I was hoping you can answer. That depends, Kakashi, said the armored man as he quickly covered his mouth with a panicked look on his face. The Jonin hummed as he said, You know of my name, yet I do not know yours. Care to explain? The armored man uncovered his mouth and stood thoughtfully, as if he was contemplating something. The man in red began nervously. I'm a friend of Ranamon's. I'm a Gunamon and I'm part of a group that was sent to keep an eye on Naruto, your student. Nice to meet you, Agunamon, Kakashi said with an eye smile, although I do have some more questions for you. One, for example, is how much do you know of my squad and their mission? Agunamon let out a sigh as he said, Only what Ranamon had told me as a couple others and I were helping your student. You guys are protecting some bridge builder guy from that Zabuza character. That's all I know. Kakashi studied the figure before him as he then asked, I heard you mentioning about a Burning Greymon. Who is he? The armored blonde nervously gulped as he then said, Burning Greymon. He's my more primal and wild form and I could never keep him under control. I've never called forth his power, but I know I wouldn't be able to handle the amount of power he has at the moment. Have you tried to call forth Burning Greymon's power before? Kakashi asked as this might cause trouble for the village. No, I haven't, Agunamon admitted slight hesitation as he then looked at his hands. But I can feel him sometimes when I get angry and fly off the handle sometimes. The only way I can think of taming this anger is either by training or having the others beat the living crap out of me. The Jonin took note of what was said as he then asked, I saw you trying to do the tree climbing exercise with little progress. Were you watching us? Yeah. Agunamon admitted as he scratched the back of his head, I kind of really like the idea of climbing trees without your hands, it's really cool. You know, Kakashi said with a small smile under his mask, you remind me of Naruto. If you don't mind me asking, why are you and your friends watching Naruto? Is there something about him that has caught your group's interest? I'm really not sure if I should tell you. Agumon said with a sigh. Kazumi had already revealed to that pink-haired student of yours, Sakura I think her name was, about how we have a clan and Naruto could be a part of that clan. And what clan would that be? Kakashi asked as he only knew of the Uzumaki clan. We really don't know actually. Agumon sadly admitted, we've actually been asleep for so long that we can't remember. But we do know that Naruto has this aura about him that is similar to that clan. Kakashi hummed before he said, well, it's getting late, and I'd better make sure my student is safe. It was nice talking to you, Agumon, and I wish the best of luck to you in your training and finding your clan. Agumon nodded as Kakashi soon hobbled away into the forest's darkness. What Agumon didn't know was that the Jonin had used a genjutsu to hide behind a tree as he left in order to closely watch him. Alright, Kakashi thought to himself as he studied the armored warrior, let's see how much you really know. Before any form of training could begin, Agumon suddenly collapsed onto his knees as a bright light enveloped around him. When the light vanished, Kakashi was once again surprised as he saw Naruto at the same exact spot as Agumon, breathing heavily. Damn, did I really push it? Naruto said out loud, unaware of his sensei watching him. I'd thought Kakashi-sensei wouldn't leave. I'd hate having to explain about my power before. Naruto never finished as he soon collapsed onto the cold ground in complete exhaustion, while his teacher rushed towards him. Seeing the blonde unconscious, Kakashi let out a sigh as he heard Naruto breathing and said, total chakra exhaustion. That power of his must have used a lot of chakra, even for an Uzumaki. Looking at his student, Kakashi began to ponder about his unconscious student. If Agumon was Naruto and Agumon was Ranamon's friend, then could that mean that Naruto was also Ranamon? Impossible, the Jonin thought as he remembered the two jutsus Ranamon had used during the fight with Zabuza. Naruto doesn't know any other jutsu beside the Shadow Clone, his sexy jutsu, and the basic Academy jutsus. Kakashi thought back to when they met up with Naruto. He remembered the blonde breathing heavily, as if he just ran through one of Guy's insane training regimens. How did Naruto get to the docks anyway? Kakashi asked himself as Naruto had never mentioned about how he got there before they did, nor had he mentioned anything about Ranamon's friends. Kakashi then suddenly remembered that flash of light he saw. If that flash of light had revealed Agumon to be Naruto, then back at the fight with Zabuza, the blonde was underwater where that flash of light had appeared before Ranamon did. Naruto was, Ranamon and Agumon. Kakashi thought with surprise at what Naruto had hidden from him. The Jonin chuckled as he then said, you have quite the destiny ahead of you, Naruto Namike Uzumaki. Dream World. Sakura Uchiha was walking through the marketplace with bags of groceries in her hands. Good morning, Uchiha-san, said one of the merchants with a smile on his face. Today's a wonderful day, isn't it? Sakura smiled and said, indeed it is for a woman such as I, and I can't wait to fix my hubby his favorite dessert. The Rosette traveled through the market and chuckled to herself as she passed a homeless Ino who was begging for change. Such a wonderful day, Sakura thought to herself as she continued her journey through the streets, unaware of what awaited her. Sakura had eventually made it home, and when she entered, she couldn't help but notice how quiet it was. Sasuke-kun must still be working, she said as she walked into the kitchen to place the groceries on the table, considering that he's the Hokage instead of that baka, Naruto. That idiot would have ruined this place for everyone. Too bad you ditched such a wonderful man like Blondie, Sugar, said a familiar voice as Sakura turned to see not just Ranamon, but Kazumi and Naruto. The Rosette never noticed the world turning dark, or her body becoming her young genin self as she was too focused on how Ranamon and Kazumi were seductively holding onto Naruto. You call him a baka, but you're the baka for letting such a man like him go so easily, said Kazumi while Naruto and Ranamon were kissing. That moody Uchiha could never match our Naruto-kun. It was then Kazumi's turn to be kissing Naruto as the blonde began to caress the fairy. You only ditched Naruto-kun because he was dead weight, Ranamon taunted towards Sakura as she pressed herself against Naruto. But Blondie is not only a strong man, but he is a wonderful lover. Sakura closed her eyes and shook her head to erase the image, but when she opened her eyes, Sakura soon found herself in a hallway. "Hello?" Sakura called out as her voice echoed through the path, as did her footsteps. Kerthud. Kerthud. Sakura looked around in order to find the source of the noise, but she was unable to pinpoint where it was. Kerthud. Kerthud. Sakura began running down the hall, taking turn after turn as the noise was somehow following her. "Please," Sakura begged as she continued to flee, "leave me alone." Boomf! Sakura fell to the floor to see that she had accidentally ran into a door that stood ominously before her. Kerthud. 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 Sakura stood up as the noise was somehow louder, and she saw that it was coming from the door. Carefully placing her ear against the door, Sakura tried to listen to what was on the other side. Kerthud. Kerthud. Moan. Kerthud. Kerthud. Sakura backed away with a small blush forming on her cheeks as she recognized those sounds. "Please don't let this be Mom and Dad again. Please don't let this be Mom and Dad again," Sakura said as her body reached for the door handle on its own. The rosette repeated the mantra with her heart racing as her hand was just inches away before the door exploded open to reveal a set of razor-sharp teeth lunged towards her to end her life. End dream. Tizuna's house. Kaya! Sakura screeched, waking Kurenai, Hinata, and Tsunami up in startled fright. "Sakura, what's wrong?" said Kurenai as she pulled out a kunai from her pillow, ready to attack despite being in her nightgown. Sakura looked around in a panic before relaxing a bit. "Just a dream," Sakura said as she tried to calm her breathing, "just a horrible nightmare." Kurenai relaxed as she returned the kunai to her pack before returning to Sakura. "Are you feeling all right?" the woman asked as Hinata and Tsunami had returned to sleep. "You want to talk about it?" Sakura looked at Kurenai, fear still evident in the rosette's eyes, and asked, Have you ever broken someone's heart so bad that it hurts you as well?" Confused at the question, Kurenai sat next to Sakura and said, "I've had many admirers, but I have never actually been romantically involved. That wasn't a mission." "Why do you ask?" Sakura hugged her knees as she wanted to tell the woman about her dream, but the dream was all too real to recount without going into a panic. "It's about what Ranamon had said to you, isn't it?" Kurenai asked as she received a small nod from the girl. "Yeah," said Sakura as the girl's words rung in her head. "She told me about how Naruto doesn't see me as a friend, and after what had happened during training, I think I'm actually starting to believe that." The rosette mentally chuckled as she remembered how Naruto was orbiting in her life. But now, Sakura felt something empty in her world, something was missing. "It's almost funny," Sakura said as she thought of what was missing. "You really don't know what you have until it's gone." Kurenai saw the disheartened look on Sakura's and said, "Why not try and repair what you have broken?" Sakura looked at the woman with confusion, and Kurenai then said, "Just try talking to him instead of insulting or hitting him. Pushing Naruto aside for someone else when he needs help won't help as well. From what I've heard about him, I'm surprised he's even still alive or isn't completely insane." Sakura felt a chill as she remembered what Kakashi had said about Naruto being unloved and couldn't help but blame herself for being a part of that. "I'm going to try and fix this, Naruto," Sakura thought as she looked out the window towards the night sky. "I promise that I can be a better friend to you." Forest. Morning had arrived as Naruto was fast asleep against a tree, completely unaware of his surroundings and of a feminine figure in a pink kimono approaching him. The figure kneeled next to the sleeping blonde and slowly reached their hand towards him. "Hey," said the figure with a soft voice as they gently shook Naruto's shoulder, "wake up. You're going to catch a cold like that." The blonde slowly woke up to see a young girl next to him with a concerned look on her face. "Must have overdone it last night," Naruto groggily said as he rubbed the sleep out of his eyes. "I take it you were training?" the young girl asked as she pointed to the blonde's height. "You must be a ninja." Naruto smirked as he said, "You betcha, and I'm going to become Hokage one day." The girl giggled as the blonde couldn't help but think that she was really cute. "That is quite a goal for someone as young as yourself," the girl said with a soft smile as she adjusted the basket in her arms. "What's with the basket?" Naruto asked as he saw some of the plants and herbs. "I'm collecting special herbs for my friend," the girl said as she looked at the field that was surrounded by the trees. "He's injured and the herbs around here can help him with his recovery." "Care to help me?" The blonde nodded as he helped the girl pick herbs with ancient Troyman guiding him. This continued for a little while until the girl looked at him. Is there someone you wish to protect? The girl asked out of the blue, surprising Naruto due to the suddenness of the question. Naruto thought for a moment on the question asked of him. He never had anyone for such a long time. No parents. No siblings. No one but himself. But that had changed over time as the Ichirakus, the Sandaime Hokage, Iruka, Konohamaru, Shino, and a few others had entered his life. Even the legendary warriors had become a part of his life with their wisdom and guidance along with become something sort of like a family. Yeah. Naruto said as a true smile formed on his face. Yes, I do have people that I want to protect. The girl smiled as she said, that's good. When someone has something important to protect, that is when they become truly strong. I am willing to do everything that I can to help my friend achieve his dream as he had saved me from a terrible life. I own him so much, so it is only right that I help him with his dream. The girl soon stood up and said, thank you for helping me. These should be of great help. Naruto watched the girl walk away until she stopped. Oh, and by the way, the girl said without looking at the blonde, I'm a boy. Naruto froze in absolute shock as the young boy had vanished into the thick forest. I can't believe I thought he was cute. Naruto thought as a few of the legendary warriors chuckled at his small plight. While it was amusing, Ancient Sphinxman said as he remained stoic, the young boy is right about true strength. You mean about having someone precious to me? Naruto asked as he thought about the question he was asked. Precisely. Ancient Sphinxman said as the laughter of the other legendary warriors had died down. As long as you keep the bonds you share with your friends, they shall help you bring out your full power, Naruto. Said Blonde nodded as he thought of everyone that he held dear to him. There you are, Naruto-san. Said a familiar voice as Naruto looked to see Shino approaching him. Your sensei sent me here to check up on you since you didn't return last night. Sorry about that, Naruto said with a guilty chuckle. I must have overdone it with my training. The duo began to walk through the woods towards Tazuna's house as the refreshing forest scent wafted around them. I would like to spar with you, Naruto-san, Shino suddenly said, getting the blonde's attention, or more correctly, with one of your spirits. Isn't this the wrong time to ask for a spar? Naruto asked as he knew now wasn't a good time for a simple training fight. True, Shino said as he suddenly stopped, causing Naruto to stop next to him. But Kakashi-sensei had told us that he met up with a warrior in red armor that went by the name of Agumon. I know, Naruto said before something dawned on him. If Kakashi-sensei saw Agumon, then did he? He never mentioned anything about you, Naruto-san, Shino then said as the blonde felt something crawling on his skin. But I believe that he knew more than what he was leading on. Naruto saw the two beetles fly off his hand before landing on Shino, revealing that they were his Kakachu beetles. Forgive me for planting a couple of my beetles on you, Shino said, a hand up in a peaceful manner. But know that I was only concerned for you, my friend. Naruto nodded slowly with a silent thanks towards the Aburame clan member while at the same time letting Shino know to do something else next time. When he mentioned that Agumon was allied with Ranamon, Sakura jumped at the chance of meeting her by challenging her. Shino then said as Naruto let out a startled sound. Why would Sakura do that? Naruto asked with surprise. I expected the team or Kiba, but Sakura? I really don't know if I should laugh or just be disappointed in her. She only said something about asking Ranamon more about you. Shino continued, however, Kurenai-sensei wants us to be wary as we do not know if Agumon's group are either with or against us. So the only way out of this is to either accept or run away. Naruto said as he stuck his hands in his pockets. What do you think I should do? Shino looked at the blonde and said, it would probably be best to accept because if you run away, you would probably end up dishonoring the legendary warriors for not accepting a challenge, no matter how petty the reasons. Naruto let out a thoughtful hum as Ancient Greymon entered his mind. Accept their challenge, the warrior of fire said, and let them know that we are allies who are unbound to any village as we search for our clan. Shino saw the smirk on Naruto's face as the blonde then said, tell them that I accept the challenge and that a friend of Agumon and Ranamon will meet them in the forest where my team learned about chakra control. Shino nodded as a swarm of beetles crawled out of his jacket and formed a copy of Naruto right before said blonde. We will let them know, Shino said as he motioned to Naruto. I'll also let you know when we are close. The real Naruto nodded as Shino and the other Naruto left before pondering on which spirit to use. I think, the blonde said with a smirk on his face, I should bring a real spark into this fight. Time had passed as both Team 7 and Team 8 arrived to the designated area where one of Ranamon's friends was to meet them. This is the area, Kakashi said as he observed the place. So where's Ranamon's friend? Maybe they got scared because of what they'll have to face, Kiba said with a maniac's smirk of confidence. That's what you think, said a voice as it echoed through the forest, alerting all the ninja into a stance. Before any of them could make a move, an armored figure wearing navy blue armor that made him look like a rhinoceros beetle landed right in front of them after jumping from a tree. You must be the Konoha ninjas that challenged us, the figure said as he stood on his feet, giving him a slightly intimidating look due to the shoulder spikes and the large horn on his head. Name's Beat Lemon, and I was sent here to fight you guys. Beat Lemon looked at the group and said, So which of you wants to fight me? Sasuke, Kiba, Shino, Naruto, and a reluctant Sakura stepped forward as a means of accepting the challenge. Alright, said Beat Lemon as he rolled his shoulders, and to show that I'm a nice guy, I'll let the nice lady go first, and I'm only going to use good old-fashioned hand-to-hand to make things fair. I wanted to fight Ramon, Sakura said as she drew out a kunai, but I guess I can still get some answers from you. Beat Lemon got into a stance and motioned the rosette to make the first move as he said, Don't expect a lot of answers as I'm only here for a fight. No sooner had Beat Lemon finished his statement, Sakura rushed forward with a horizontal slash but missed when the android Digimon jumped high into the air. Looking up, Sakura saw Beat Lemon stretch out a leg with an axe kick aimed at her, and quickly rolled away as Beat Lemon missed. Taking advantage of the situation, Sakura went in for a punch aimed at the side of the armored warrior's head. She missed as Beat Lemon leaned back and caught her fist by the wrist before tossing her aside into a bunch of bushes nearby. You're not much of a challenge, Beat Lemon said with his arms crossed as Sakura rushed out to attack him, but missed as he just jumped over her with a twist that allowed him to be right behind Sakura. Agumon must have overheard wrong when he learned that you know just enough to get by as a ninja. Sakura was then given a powerful kick that sent her crashing into a tree, taking her out of commission. Here we go, said Beat Lemon as he carefully picked the unconscious Sakura and set her up against the tree near the ninjas. Why are you being nice? Kiba asked before getting a scolding growl from Kurenai. The challenge was never a fight to the death, Beat Lemon began as he stepped back while Hinata tended to Sakura's injuries. And I'm also to let you know that we are only searching for our lost clan. But how does this relate to the dobe? Sasuke asked, ignoring Kakashi when the Jonin placed a hand on his shoulder. We believe that Naruto Uzumaki might be a clue as to where our clan is, Beat Lemon said as he let out a sigh. Naruto has certain traits of our clan, so we believe that we might be able to find our clan through him. Good luck with that, Kiba said as he marched towards the android Digimon. I'm up next. Kiba immediately went into his clan's taijutsu stance while Beat Lemon went back into his stance before the Inuzuka jumped in for the attack. Beat Lemon quickly jumped back to avoid the attack before throwing a punch that hit Kiba in the face. Kiba quickly gave the android Digimon a kick to the head that was blocked when Beat Lemon brought his arms up to intercept the attack. Kiba then felt himself being thrown to the side and quickly flipped to avoid rolling on the ground before preventing himself from colliding into a tree. You're not a bad fighter, Kiba said with a smirk, but you're not as fast with that armor on and I have to put in a little more effort into each attack. Likewise, Beat Lemon said as he smirked under his mask, you're pretty fast. Not as fast as Kazumon or Ranamon, but still fast. With a quick battle cry, Kiba quickly rushed towards his opponent with an attack ready. Beat Lemon however lowered his head and rushed towards Kiba before the two collided as the Inuzuka avoided getting hit in the gut by stepping to the side and grabbing the horn. What Kiba didn't expect was Beat Lemon slamming him into the ground in a suplex-like manner. Beat Lemon quickly got up and placed an arm lightly on the Inuzuka's throat, signaling that the fight was over. That wasn't a bad fight, Beat Lemon admitted as he helped Kiba to his feet and offered a handshake. Yeah, Kiba said with a smile. I'd have probably won if you hadn't used that horn. Can't win them all, I guess. Before anything else was said, Sasuke approached the two and got into his fighting stance. Now it's my turn, Sasuke said with fierce determination, and you're not going to win as easily. We'll see about that. Beat Lemon said as Kiba went to the sidelines where the others were. Alright, Naruto thought as he got into a fighting stance. I really need to be careful here. Sasuke's pretty strong and I can't use any of Beetleman's powers. Gonna have to wing it this time. They stood still, waiting for the other to make a move, until Beat Lemon rushed in for an attack. Sasuke quickly dodged before giving the android Digimon a powerful punch into the face, then giving him a following kick. Beat Lemon rolled on the ground before bouncing onto his feet and shook the cobwebs out of his skull. Quickly taking advantage of the situation, Sasuke rushed towards Beat Lemon with a punch ready but missed as the armored warrior jumped back after regaining his senses. Beat Lemon quickly used a tree behind him to launch himself into a twist as he was behind Sasuke before grabbing the Uchiha and tossing him to the side. Sasuke rolled on the ground and got to his feet as the armor warrior rushed him with a powerful kick. The Uchiha was able to block the attack just in time to lessen what could have been a knockout hit, but the power behind the attack had launched him to the side near the others. Can't believe I'm winning against the team this time, Naruto thought to himself as he had to contain his excitement from beating Sasuke. But I need to keep my act together. Damn it, I can't lose here. Sasuke angrily thought before a new thought occurred to him, of course. Sakura woke up just in time to see Sasuke create a clone and charge right towards a now surprised Beat Lemon. What happened? Sakura asked as she tried to get up, but Hinata gently held her down. You and Kiba lost your matches against Beat Lemon, and now Sasuke is fighting him. Hinata answered as said armored warrior was taking hits that the real Sasuke was giving him. I thought we weren't going to use any of this stuff. Beat Lemon said as he got some distance from the two Sasukes. I didn't use any of that during the last two fights. You only agreed to using taijutsu against Sakura, not me. Sasuke said as his clone rushed in for the attack. Beat Lemon quickly punched the clone as it vanished before seeing the real Sasuke taking in a deep breath. Fire style, fireball jutsu. Sasuke called out as he launched a large fireball toward the armored warrior. Guess I have no choice. Beat Lemon said as lightning formed around his fist before the armored warrior pulled it back. Thunder fist. Everyone watched as the two attacks collided in an explosive force that had covered Beat Lemon as he was in the center. Beat Lemon! Kakashi and Shino said, both of them with widened eyes. Sasuke smirked in victory until the flames died down to reveal Beat Lemon with his armor covered in burn marks, his gloved hand having more than the rest of him. How are you still standing? Sasuke demanded with anger in his eyes as he put his all into the attack. I used my own power to cancel out your attack, Beat Lemon answered as he could feel the heat in his hands, but I didn't get out unscathed as my hand had to take most of it. I guess I shouldn't hold back anymore. Before either combatant could act, another fireball was launched into the ground between them, drawing everyone's attention away from the fight. Sorry, said a new voice as everyone looked to see a young man in red armor walking towards them from the forest. But Beetleman's coming with me. Agunamon! Beat Lemon said in pure shock, what are you doing here? Keeping an eye on you since we are forbidden to use our powers against them since this was supposed to be just hand-to-hand combat. Agunamon said as he approached Beat Lemon, you need to understand how your reckless actions could slow us down in the search for our clan. Now let's go. You're not going anywhere. Sasuke said as he glared at the two warriors, this fight isn't over. With blinding speed, Agunamon suddenly appeared behind the Uchiha and gave him a quick chop to the neck, knocking him out. I apologize for that and for Beat Lemon, Agunamon said as he handed Sasuke over to Kakashi and Naruto. But we should go back to our missions before any trouble stirs up. How do we know you're not with Gato? Kurenai asked as she looked at the two armored warriors. You can trust us as if we were enemies. Our friends would have attacked you during the spars. Agunamon answered as he grabbed Beetleman's shoulder. Now if you will pardon us, I need to have a word with Beat Lemon. Kurenai stared at Agunamon before picking up Kiba and Akamaru, and led the genin away towards Tazuna's house while Agunamon and Beat Lemon went the opposite direction. The two armored warriors continued walking until Agunamon stopped and turned to face Beat Lemon. Pow! Only to get a fist into the face by said warrior, knocking him into a nearby tree. Alright, Beat Lemon said as he generated electricity into his uninjured fist. Who are you really, as I know you can't be Agunamon? Now tell me before I decide to reset your heart. Very well, said Agunamon before a plume of smoke revealed that he was really Kakashi, now you see me. How do I know you're the real Kakashi? Beat Lemon asked as he still held his electrified fist. QB. Kakashi answered as a small gasp escaped the android Digimon's mouth. I know you are not the demon fox that attacked our home, Naruto. A bright flash shone as Beat Lemon had turned back into Naruto as the blonde stumbled onto a knee, holding his still injured hand. How? Naruto asked as he took in a few breaths. How did you know that was me? I hid behind a tree in order to watch Agunamon before I saw him change into you. Kakashi answered as he helped his student onto his feet. When did you get this power, and why did you keep it a secret? Naruto didn't answer as he looked at the Jonin with a sharp glare. Naruto, Kakashi said as his voice had a firm stance of authority. Answer my question. Do I have to make you? Naruto saw his sensei hold his hand to his Hittite to show that he was going to use his Sharingan to get the answers he needed. You do that, Naruto said as he took a stance of his own, and you'll have to deal with burning Greymon and risk everyone's lives. You don't have a lot of chakra left, Kakashi said as he held his grip, so how will you hold up to your threat? I just need to call him out. Naruto said, hoping that Kakashi would buy into the bluff as the legendary warriors wouldn't let him willingly bring out the beast spirit's power just yet. Kakashi looked at his student as a thought entered his mind. Have I really pushed him this far? The Jonin thought as he remembered Minato's disappointed look in his dream. Kakashi let out a sigh as he let go of his Hittite and said, Alright Naruto, I'm not going to make you tell me any more about your power, but I still would like to know why you're keeping this a secret from your team? The blonde was silent until he said, Team? What team? You never really taught us much as you dote all of your time on Sasuke while leaving me on my own. Shino had even told me all the stuff that Kurenai-sensei had taught him and his team. When I was working on the tree climbing exercise, Shino used his beetles to drain some of my chakra to help me get a better grip on control. And what have you done, Hataki-san? Kakashi hid a cringe at how his student had addressed him as he then said, I know I haven't taught you much and your father would be ashamed and disappointed in me. You? Naruto asked as he relaxed his stance a bit. Knew my father? Kakashi nodded as he said, he was my sensei when I was your age, and if he saw how I haven't been training you, he would be furious with me as he would forever haunt me. Seeing the bit of remorse in his sensei's eye, Naruto got out of his stance and said, I didn't tell you as it's mostly because of what I said earlier and I wasn't sure if I could trust you enough as this needed to be a secret for the moment. Kakashi nodded as who knows what could happen if this kind of power was leaked out. Naruto, the Jonin said as he pulled out a scroll and unrolled it to reveal a lone kanji. Since you are entrusting me with this secret, I think it's only fair that you learn a secret of mine. Naruto watched as a plume of smoke erupted from the scroll to reveal a familiar mask. Inu? Naruto said in shock as he looked at Kakashi as said ninja placed the mask on his face. You're Inu? Kakashi nodded and said, Yes Naruto, it is me, Inu. The sudden rush of information and shock had caused Naruto to give in to his fatigue and pass out before Kakashi had caught him. I really have a lot more on my hands than I had thought. Kakashi said as he let out a sigh, knowing that he would need to fix the bridge between him and the young boy he saw as a little brother. I just need to take things one step at a time. Tazuna's house. Naruto slowly opened his eyes to find that he was back at Tazuna's house as the last thing he remembered was Kakashi revealing that he was Inu. Kakashi-sensei must have brought me back, Naruto thought as he slowly sat up and saw that his hand was bandaged. I sense that your mind is troubled. Ancient Sphinxman said from inside the blonde's mind, Is it because you learned that your negligent teacher was once one of the ANBU that protected you when you were younger, or that he now knows of your power and may reveal it after the mission? Naruto thought as he looked at the situation and saw that night had fallen. Think it's because Inu was always so nice to me and Kakashi had never really given me any attention, even if it was to put me down during training. I can sense that Kakashi does indeed regret his actions as a sensei, since you are the son of his sensei. Ancient Sphinxman said as the blonde looked at the moon from the window. But do not close your heart off to him as that would only cause the darkness in your heart to begin festering into something more sinister. The power of darkness is one that is not to be taken lightly, beast form or not. Could you tell me more about the power of darkness, Ancient Sphinxman? Naruto asked as he stared at the moon. I shall. The legendary warrior of darkness said as he stared at the moon as well, The element of darkness is commonly a misunderstood element as it has been connected to evil many times in the past due to those who use the power of darkness for their own gain. However, it is not so. Both darkness and light must coexist together, as without light, darkness cannot be formed, and without darkness, light cannot shine through. How is that? Naruto asked as he took a glance at the other guy's sleeping forms. You see, Naruto, ancient Sphinxman began, both light and darkness represent two different ideas that actually help each other in the long run. Darkness is not an evil element, as it is an extension of the soul for you to learn how to face strife. At times, it is better to avoid the shadows altogether and embrace the light, but there are times where darkness can be welcoming when the light's warmth is not enough. But you must take caution though, as darkness can also lead you to destruction, and by facing your fears and your personal demons, will you be able to handle the power that the element brings? So I must embrace darkness while keeping it at arm's length? Naruto asked as he got a small chuckle from the legendary warrior. If you look at it that way, then yes. Ancient Sphinxman said through his chuckle. Now, you should get some rest so that you can be ready for what's to come. Alright, Naruto said as sleep was slowly overcoming him. Good night, Gigi. The legendary warrior smiled as it felt welcoming for the blonde to look up to him like that as he said, Good night, my grandson. Forest. A few of days had passed as Teams 7 and 8 had trained in preparations for when Zabuza would attack, with Kakashi increasing his team's regimen and team dynamics by pairing each of his students with Kurenai's students. Kakashi's team was able to get to the top of the trees through effort and help, since Kakashi had Shino use his Kikaichi beetles to absorb the team's chakra to help them learn proper control, since the Aburame clan's beetles can absorb chakra. The past couple of days were also odd for Naruto, as Sakura had complimented the blonde and even helped him during training. She had also changed the bandages on his hand when they needed to be and applied some of the burn ointment Hinata had packed. Naruto was still shocked about what Sakura had done afterwards. Flashback. Tizuna's house. Naruto had looked at his hand and carefully flexed it after Sakura had changed the bandages. It shouldn't be too long until my hands healed, Naruto thought as he didn't see Sakura looking at him. No more than a few hours at most. Hey Naruto, Sakura said, grabbing the blonde's attention. What is it, Sakura? Naruto asked, noticing how his teammate was looking away. It was silent until the rosette let out a small sigh and looked at Naruto. Sakura began as she tried to gather her courage. I want to apologize for everything. What do you mean? Naruto asked as he carefully placed a hand on Sakura's forehead. Are you alright? Sakura moved her teammate's hand off of her forehead as she said, I'm alright, Naruto. It's just, after Ranamon helped us with Zabuza, I had asked her if she knew Kazuma, and I had also asked about you. I told her that I was worried about my friend, but she asked me if I really did care, since Kazuma must told her what I had said about you. I told her that I didn't want to lose another friend, but Ranamon had told me that you don't see me as a friend like you used to, and how I would hurt you instead of just talking to you. She probably had sent Beat Lemon knowing that I did call her a hag and didn't want to really hurt us because of a grudge. I then had a dream a few days ago, Sakura continued as she swallowed down a bit of fear that had gathered in her throat. I dreamed that Sasuke had become Hokage and I was married to him. It was great until I saw you, making out with both Kazuma and Ranamon. Somehow that sounds weird, Naruto thought with hidden confusion, although I can see that if both of them weren't me. Sakura began to tremble as she said, You three then vanished as I soon found myself in a dark hallway with a loud banging sound echoing through the place. I ran through the darkness until I hit a door where the sound was coming from. I went to open the door, and when I grabbed the handle, the door was ripped open as a bunch of razor-sharp teeth came straight towards me. Then what happened? Naruto asked with concern for his teammate. I woke up and screamed. Sakura said as the memory of nearly getting bitten by those teeth. I must have woken everyone up as Kurenai-sensei was ready to fight. I couldn't tell her about my dream, but even so, she concluded that it had to involve what Ranamon had said to me. The point that I'm trying to get. Sakura began before wrapping her arms around Naruto, letting out a few tears and sobs. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about how I treated you. Sob Kakashi-sensei told us about the miserable life you had and sob and I treated you so badly for just wanting some love. I was so rotten to you for hitting you and belittling you for the most dumbest of reasons. Sob, could you ever forgive me? I don't want to lose you as a friend. Naruto didn't know what to do as Sakura had never done anything like this to him. On one hand, Sakura was hugging him and being nice to him, but on the other hand, Sakura had always hit him for just trying to talk to her, belittling him for not being as great as Sasuke, and even calling him dead weight. Forgive her. Ancient Greymon said as his voice echoed in Naruto's mind. Can you hear and sense the sorrow from her actions right now? I was honestly unsure when she was being nice to me and helping me, Naruto admitted to the legendary warrior of fire. But now it makes sense. But should I really forgive her that easily? Not necessarily. Ancient Sphinxman said as Sakura was still crying into the blonde's shoulder. While she knew her actions were not right, she still should have learned more about you just by talking to you. Let her know about what her actions had done between you and her. But do not completely forgive her as she needs to earn back your trust. Naruto thought for a moment about what to do as this could change a lot depending on what he chooses. Sakura was about to let go when she felt arms being wrapped around her and saw that Naruto was hugging her. Sakura. Naruto began with an even tone, I want you to know that while I am going to forgive you for some of the things you have done to me, you need to work really hard if I can consider having you as a friend again. You've hurt me so many times, and even though I did deserve a few of those punches you had given me, I couldn't let them go, as all of it could have been avoided if you and Sasuke had given me the time to let the both of you learn more about me. The two let go of each other as Sakura saw a rare serious tone on Naruto's face. Seeing the shocked look on the Rosette's face, Naruto then said, While I am giving you this second chance, I need you to remember that all actions have consequences, both good and bad, and they can be pretty drastic. I still care about you, Sakura, but I need you to show me that you and I can be friends. Please don't mess this up because I really don't want to lose any of my friends at all. Sakura smiled as she wiped the tears off of her face, knowing that she was given a very rare and powerful gift, a second chance. Flashback End. Forest. Naruto chuckled as he was resting after his spar with Kiba and Sasuke with Hinata as his partner. I may be taking a chance, and it could take a while, Naruto thought as he took a sip of water from his canteen, but I really do hope that Sakura can still be my friend. Naruto then began to think back to yesterday when he was training with his powers. He could use basic jutsus and the shadow clone jutsu with his spirit forms, even though using jutsus would burn more chakra and shorten his time limit, but the blonde was still having trouble using chakra as a Unimon while he didn't have much difficulties as either Kazumon, Ranamon, or Beat Lemon. I was able to increase the time limit thanks to Shino and Sakura, Naruto thought with slight victory in his mind. Now if I could figure out what's wrong with the Unimon. Alright, break time's over. Kakashi said as he looked at his team. Team 7 is to stay here with me while Team 8 shall go and help Tazuna and his family. After Kurenai's team left, the Cycloptic Jonin took out 3 scrolls and handed each one to his students. I know we don't have a lot of time left, Kakashi said as he stood before his students, but I'm giving you a jutsu for you to learn in preparations for what could happen. Inside you will find information on a jutsu that I want you to learn as best as you can. Go ahead and open them and read what jutsu you have. The 3 genin opened their scrolls and read what jutsu they have. Earth Style, Headhunter Jutsu. Sakura said as she remembered that jutsu being used on Sasuke and Naruto during training sessions. Wind Style, Great Breakthrough Jutsu. Naruto said as he looked a bit at the writing in his scroll. Fire Style, Ash Clone Jutsu. Sasuke said with a slight scowl at getting a clone jutsu. The jutsus I had given you should help you with not just this mission, but any future missions or battles you will go through. Kakashi began as he motioned for his students to back away as he was going to demonstrate the jutsus given. I'll start off with Naruto's jutsu. Kakashi said as he brought his hands together. Great Breakthrough is a strong C-rank jutsu that creates a gust of wind that varies on how much power is put into the jutsu and who uses it. Torashi no Yumi. The Jonin said as he went through the seals. Wind Style, Great Breakthrough Jutsu. Kakashi threw his palm towards a nearby tree as a gust of wind was launched before hitting the tree with a powerful slam. Whoa! Naruto said as he and his teammates stared in awe at the demonstration. You can use this jutsu to either gain distance from your opponent, do some damage, or even ambush the target. Kakashi said as he brought his hands together again. Now for Sasuke's jutsu. Toru Mahitsuji Tora. The Jonin called out as he took in a breath, fire style, ash clone jutsu. Kakashi let out his breath as a cloud of ash flew from his mask before forming into him. The ash clone is a very useful jutsu as you can use it to blind your opponents through converting chakra into fire and ash. Kakashi said as his ash clone crumbled away before being replaced by another ash clone. You can even use ashes that are around you, but that is only if there are ashes present, such as a campfire or even a burning building. Now for one of my favorite jutsus. Mitatsui no Mi. Kakashi said as he vanished, Earth-style, headhunter jutsu. The ash clone was soon pulled into the ground with only his head out as the real Kakashi appeared out of the ground nearby. This jutsu allows you to trap your opponents into the earth as you drag them from underneath. Kakashi said as he dusted himself off while the ash clone crumbled away. This allows you to interrogate or attack your opponent, as they cannot defend themselves if they're trapped like this. I want you to study the contents of the scroll I had given you and practice the seals for them. If you need help, you can ask either me or your teammates. Naruto and Sakura went to different spots and studied their scrolls in order to understand the jutsu better, while Sasuke stood before Kakashi with a scowl on his face. This would be perfect for Kazumi as she's the spirit of wind, Naruto thought as he looked over the scroll before practicing the seals. Might go great with Tempest Twist. Why do I get a stupid clone jutsu while they get better jutsus? Sasuke demanded as he threw the scroll down. Listen Sasuke, Kakashi began as he looked at said Uchiha. When it comes down to a contest, a clone jutsu can be the most powerful and the most resourceful of jutsus. In fact, even I had to use a few clone jutsus to gain the advantage over my opponents, just like with my fight against Zabuza. But what about that girl, Ranamon? Sasuke asked as he remembered the water fairy. I didn't see her use a clone jutsu but instead used other two jutsus. She probably didn't use a clone jutsu because she either didn't need to, Kakashi explained, or she was trying to reserve her chakra. For her one jutsu to drain Zabuza of his energy through water must have taken a lot of chakra to overpower water that has been enhanced by Jonin-level chakra. So she could be as powerful as a Kage? Sasuke asked as the hair on the back of his head bristled in fury. I can't say for sure as only a sensor-type ninja could really tell you about how strong Ranmon, or any of her friends for that matter, are. Kakashi answered honestly while thinking about just how powerful Naruto could be with any of those forms. Or with Burning Greymon, they could be Kage level, or they could even be at a really high Jonin level, we wouldn't really know. So don't worry about it as they are our allies and don't think we've forgotten what you did during your match with Beat Lemon. Sasuke growled as Kakashi then said, I believe a suitable punishment would be for you to do a set of 50 push-ups, sit-ups, squats, punches, kicks, on both left and right hands and feet, pull-ups, and because I'm feeling a bit lenient at the moment, laps on the tree walking exercise. What? Sasuke yelled out in fury. Be glad that I'm going to give you a short break after each set and after an hour of studying your new jutsu. Kakashi said with authority in his voice before raising his visible eyebrow, or would you rather those sets now and save your new jutsu for after your punishment? Letting out an angered growl, Sasuke moved to a different part of the forest and sat down as he read the contents of the scroll. Remember, Kakashi called out to Sasuke, you only get 1 hour of studying. In a different part of the forest, Sakura was looking over the jutsu she was given and was a little off-put with having to travel through dirt before she remembered about what Beat Lemon had said during her match with him. I know just enough to get by, Sakura said to herself as she looked back at how her two teammates performed in the past. Sasuke possesses both brains and skills as he can perform such an advanced jutsu, an elemental jutsu for that matter, and Naruto, while he can be a bit reckless and brainless at times, is surprising, and with him being able to create so many solid clones while not even being able to create a normal clone. The sheer number of them he used along with what he and Sasuke had done with our fight against Zabuza. Who would have thought Naruto, the same class clown who loved pranking more than being a ninja, could be like that? Realization soon dawned on the Rosette. Just who is Naruto? Was the blonde really just as smart, or even smarter than Sasuke or Shikamaru? Was Naruto hiding his true power in favor of entertainment? Could the Naruto that everyone sees be a fake while the real Naruto be some sort of maniac or even… What am I thinking? Sakura said as she shook her head, this is Naruto Uzumaki you're thinking about. The very same Naruto who painted the Hokage monument in broad daylight. Rolling up her scroll, Sakura stood up and walked through the forest as she said, maybe I should check up on him. You're really overthinking this. Inner Sakura spoke as she had looked at some of the ideas inside the rosette's skull. I mean, Naruto having a few screws loose, yeah I can believe that. But him secretly being an ANBU? Even Naruto would say that's completely far-fetched. I still need to check up on him, Sakura thought as she soon saw a flash of light in a different area of the forest, and began running towards the source. There she found Agumon standing as he was surrounded by trees that were missing some bark. Sakura quickly hid behind a nearby bush, and watched the armored warrior sit down in a meditation pose with his hands in a seal. Let's see if I can do this, Agumon said as he closed his eyes and let out a small breath. What is he doing? Sakura thought as she remained still as to not alert the warrior from his meditations. Time had passed as nothing had happened until Agumon grabbed his head in pain and began to roll around on the ground. Agumon! Sakura called out as she rushed out of the bush and towards the downed warrior until she felt a powerful killing intent within the air, freezing her where she stood. Agunamon's eyes opened to reveal that they were glowing red, and when his mouth opened, his teeth were razor sharp. You seriously thought that someone like you could try to tap into my power? Agumon said with a low voice that was possessed by a growl. You don't even have a splinter's chance in the deepest parts of hell if I could let the likes of you use this power. Once I take control and erase you, I will destroy all who shall stand in my way. Sakura stood in fear as she watched the armored warrior writhe in pain until the killing intent began to shift uncontrollably. No, Agumon said with his voice sounding normal. I won't let you take control. Give it up. Agumon said with the low growl in his voice. You never even stood a chance as your natural element keeps you from doing so. Sakura watched in both fear and confusion as the armored warrior was arguing with himself while he was unaware of the ever-shifting killing intent in the air. I have to do something, Sakura thought as Agumon let out a pained roar. But what? Agumon then got to his feet, but he was still holding his head in his hands that were now sharp, triclawed talons. Jaya! The warrior screamed out as flames were bursting out from under his armor while a long red tail grew from behind him. Sakura then found her courage as she tightened her fists and charged straight for Agumon. The rosette jumped and rolled to the side as she avoided the wildly swing tail while bright orange wings erupted from Agunamon's back. Once I rip control over this body out of your pathetic hands, Agumon said with his possessed voice, I'll devour this little heroine first before going for your village and slaughter everyone in it. No! I won't let you! Agumon then said with his normal voice before he saw Sakura nearby, Sakura, run! Get out of here! I'm not going to run away! Sakura said as she stood her ground, I'm not going to stand by while I'm the only who can help you. Now I need you to hold still. Agunamon's eyes were now glowing red, signaling that whatever he was fighting for mental dominance returned. Sakura quickly made a couple clones that charged towards the warrior before charging herself. Agumon slashed at one of the clones before a plume of smoke revealed it to be a destroyed log. Another Sakura jumped on the winged warrior's back and held her grip while Agumon tried to use sheer might to toss her off. Seeing how Sakura was holding on, the warrior used his new wings to leap high into the air before slamming his back onto the ground with an earth-shattering slam, sandwiching the rosette between him and the ground. The possessed warrior then looked to see yet another Sakura rush towards him with a kunai at the ready. Agumon quickly got to his feet and stabbed the rosette clear through with his clawed hand before lifting her up in the air. Sakura looked at the armored warrior before smirking as she exploding into a plume of smoke that revealed her to be a log. Crash shatter! Earth style, Sakura said as she was underground. Headhunter jutsu. After a quick substitution jutsu, Sakura was now standing over the possessed Agumon as she was breathing heavily while the warrior was trying to free himself from the ground. Sakura! Said Kakashi as he, Sasuke, and teammate rushed towards said girl. Hey, is that Agumon? Kiba asked as he saw said warrior thrashing around. What's wrong with him? My guess is that he was trying to tap into Burning Grayman's power, Kakashi said while Agunimon was finally able to bust out of the ground, as he was now nearly 3 times Kakashi's size and his armor was a shade of blood red. It must be trying to control Agunimon for dominance. Naruto to the rescue! Roared a voice as an army of Narutos rushed towards the possessed Agunimon and tackled him into a massive dog pile. I'm gonna rip you pathetic little beetles off and burn you into nothing but ashes! Agunimon roared as he swiped at the Narutos, causing them to vanish in plumes of smoke. Seeing the sheer number of Narutos on him, the possessed warrior then took to the sky and flew off in a different direction, while tossing some of the Narutos off, plummeting to their doom. Agunimon then suddenly fell down towards the ground along with a lone Naruto, both of them vanishing in the trees as a bright light was briefly seen. Naruto! Everyone called out as they rushed towards where the two had crashed, but when they had arrived, there was a small indent in the ground with an unconscious Naruto in the middle. Kurenai rushed and placed her fingers on the blonde's wrist before letting out a sigh of relief as she said, "He's just unconscious, but he'll live." "Where's Agunimon?" Sasuke asked as he looked around, expecting said warrior to jump out and attack them. A small beetle flew from Naruto's jacket and landed on Shino's finger as the Abdurrahim looked at it. It appears that one of the beetles I had implanted on Naruto saw that Agunimon was able to regain control of his body thanks to Sakura's and Naruto-san's efforts. Shino stoically said as the small beetle retreated into his jacket. Agunimon would have given us his thanks for helping him, but he desperately needed his rest as it took a lot of energy to wrestle control away from Burning Grayman. Kiba and Shino lifted the unconscious Naruto as everyone left the area and headed towards Tazuna's home. Kurenai remained silent as she had seen past Shino's ruse of using a transformation jutsu on his beetles, disguising each of them as Naruto, and having them fight Agunimon. She had also noted that Shino was also just as worried, if not even more worried than Kakashi was when Beat Lemon was hit by Sasuke's fireball jutsu. Even though the Abdurrahim clan can be as stoic as Hyuga's made of stone, a 12-year-old child is still readable to the Genjutsu mistress. I'll figure out what's going on here, Kurenai thought to herself as Sakura was recounting everything that had happened to Kakashi, and I'm willing to bet that Naruto and Kakashi are in on this secret as well. Chapter end.
Watch exclusive 18+ stories every day featuring Naruto, Deku, and Luffy. Plus uncensored NSFW artwork of the girls from each story. Available only on my Patreon. Link in the description.